Bonjour, guten morgen, bon dia, buenos dias, yamamwachi. That's how we're starting off the AM show. I know someone to my left has
All
been
I want to say is willkommen. I don't know what that means, if it's welcome, but
willkommen. You could say herzliche willkommen.
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. We're going to have a German situation here this morning. 22nd day of the first month. I think this January is moving faster than other Januaries because, usually January has 54 days.
Yes, and it's still not the last week of January yet. I was hoping this would be the last week, but, it's a beautiful Monday morning, a great start to a new week, a great start to, over the weekend.
Tell me.
The weekend featured grim chronicles in the headlines.
Yeah.
Talking about the issue in Bawku. We have a great lineup with you. Benjamin, did we introduce ourselves?
Well, I am Sweetie Abochi, and she
I am
is
Benjamin Akaku. Welcome to the AM show. We have a fantastic lineup for you today. We'll get into the topic of Bawku and what's happening, but I'm just particularly excited for the make or break match between Ghana and Mozambique today. I say make or break, Benjamin, because, a lot of people aren't enthused because of the way the Black Stars have plummeted from that pedestal of glory.
We're in third position. And the permutations and everything. We don't know whether we can make it, but the calculations have been done. People sent me interesting calculations, but that will be later in sports.
We must make it.
So guess what? After this introduction, the news, Sweetie Abochi will be serving you that. I've transferred her name officially back to her. And then we'll serve you the news review. Kojo Poku is an energy analyst. He'll join us for that conversation, followed by sports. And then, like you've mentioned, we'll be looking at the Bawku situation, the latest developments there. The military says it did not gun down those three intentionally. The youth, one managed to escape narrowly.
They also say
but they've also...
They won't hesitate to engage anyone who draws them into a line of fire. And I think...
If you engage them, they are saying they will engage you back, and it will be fatal. Basically, that's how they are looking at it. We're also going to be contemplating today the matter of electoral violence. We're going to speak to a member of the clergy, a man of the cloth. We've seen him here. I'll let you know who he is shortly. But he actually is concerned about some of the developments. We have the MPP primaries coming up. Usually there are pockets of violence. And the main election, how do we forestall violence? That's what we're going to be contemplating this morning on that belt.
Yes. So stay tuned. I'll start by serving you the news in a moment. Then Benjamin Akapo will be right on to do the news review, and then we take it on from there. This is the AM show with me, Sweetie Abochi, and
Benjamin Akapo. We'll be right back.
Wait. Time now for the news. Now let's begin from the Ghana Armed Forces, who've warned its soldiers in Bawku will not hesitate to defend themselves if attacked by factions in the conflict there. In a statement, they note that engaging the military in direct armed confrontation could have fatal consequences. The warning follows accusations by MP for the area, Mahama Yariga, that soldiers from 11 Mechanized Battalion deployed to maintain peace in the area had picked up 3 civilians and executed them without provocation.
Eyewitnesses saw everything that happened. These boys were not exchanging fire with anybody. They were actually apprehended by the soldiers because they were sitting. They were not, one ran away, but the others were sitting there because if I'm doing nothing, I haven't committed an offense and I'm sitting at my base and you are coming, why should I run? But one of them ran. The 3 that thought that there was nothing wrong with waiting to the soldiers to come to them. They got apprehended by the soldiers. They beat them up. The assemblyman came out and pleaded with the soldiers to release the boy. They refused. And then ultimately, they shot the boy. He gets some of the community. So, when soldiers do that, you expect them to now come and tell you empty that, no, we just beat them up. They annoyed us and we started to shoot them. Don't forget that these same soldiers, last year, they went and shot about 7 young men.
Yeah.
When I took them on, they issued a statement saying that they neutralized those people. I took the matter to Shraj. Last month, Shraj wrote back to me saying that the soldiers denied killing anybody on that day at that community. So clearly, they would deny. But let's to the community to find out exactly what happened.
Yeah, but Shraj cannot stop. Shraj cannot stop at listening to the soldiers and say, since they've denied, that's the end of it. Because it is investigating.
I'm just telling you the attitude.
All right.
Give me the attitude that they will deny, even when they have committed the offense. Even in this instance where they publicly admitted, they said they neutralized. They used the word neutralized. And you heard the MP also saying that they said, they described young men who were engaged in the exchanges with them. There's no young man in Bawku who just face soldiers and be engaged in gunfire exchanges with soldiers. No young man will do that. Because these are professionals. They know how to shoot better than you. So the boys don't engage the soldiers. They don't. It is a lie.
But don't you think that you may be assuming too much when you say no young man, with such completeness, particularly where we are told again about how even a bomb or so was planted by ordinary people in the same area. So some young men may be capable of doing what you may not be able to imagine.
Let me tell you something. If the young men engage the soldiers, I will know. And I'm telling you that they did not engage the soldiers. I will know. And I will not go public and attack the military when I know that the boys are wrong. I've not done that before.
Okay.
But when they are wrong, the soldiers are wrong, we need to face them and let them know that they are wrong.
Right.
We need them there. We have called for reinforcement. We've called for the military to be brought there, and they have been brought there in response to our own plea. But then, you should not also become the problem. That is my concern. I'm not against the soldiers.
Right.
But I also will not allow the soldiers to just assume that when they get frustrated, then they should, unleash mayhem on the young people.
But in a statement, the Ghana Armed Forces denied killing civilians, but explains that it responded to an attack from armed attack, which resulted in the death of 3 persons. Joy News' data analyst, a member of our security desk, has the rest of the details from the military.
They went ahead to say that it is worth mentioning that about 8:30 p.m., same day, my own troops here, the Ghana Armed Forces, conducted a night foot patrol around Hassania School at Sabonguri, were fired upon by 4 gunmen. This is the latest that we are learning, that the troops returned fire, spontaneously, neutralizing 3 of the assailants. And the 4th suspect managed to escape. So the troops retrieved 1 AK-47 rifle loaded with 16 rounds of 7.2 by 39 MML ammunition. Ghana Police Service also team arrived at the location subsequently to convey the deceased assailant to the morgue. And so they end by saying that it is instructive to note that the directly engaging the military is a development that could result in fatal consequences, as troops will not spare no opportunity to defend themselves as well as protect residents of Bawku. The armed forces said they've actually noticed some concerns, allegations by some individuals in Bawku and then the media that soldiers deployed on Operation Maida Buri to restore calm in the area have killed 3 innocent Kusasi youth at Sabonguri, a suburb of Bawku. They say that it is also alleged, they call it an allegation, that the assailants were initially held in custody by some troops and consequently executed. It is they say it was further suggested that the Bisiga assemblymen, personally approached the Bawku detachment at about some 7:30 p.m. to negotiate the release of the deceased assailants. So they call this allegations and say they are not founded.
That was Kofi AJ bringing the details from the military. Now, away from that, the Minister of Education and Member of Parliament for the Bosomtwe constituency, Dr. Ya Osei Duchum's candidature on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party for the 2024 parliamentary elections have been confirmed. The MP is seeking a third term in Parliament and was selected by popular acclamation by delegates of the constituency. Here's a report by Clinton Yeboah.
In the Ashanti region, 5 parliamentary aspirants are running unopposed in the NPP parliamentary primaries. In accordance with Article 7 of the New Patriotic Party's constitution, 1,027 delegates in the Bosomtwe constituency gathered with a single voice of affirmation to support Dr. Yao Osei-Aduchum. The process of popular acclamation is the Electoral Commission's constitutional means of confirming the unopposed aspiring parliamentary candidate as the NPP parliamentary candidate for December's election. Dr. Yao Osei-Aduchum, in his acceptance speech, thanked delegates for entrusting in him another representation. He vowed to tackle pending critical issues confronting the area.
Minister for Education.
I mention Bosomtwe everywhere I go because I was an MP before becoming a minister. I want us together to lift the name of our constituency. I believe I have achieved enough for this constituency and I'm grateful for you trusting in me.
District I'm by mu constituency I'm by mu next school
There were only 3 secondary schools before I came. Now you can't count them. I have sat with elders. You will no longer see dust on your roads.
Nanom yeno dinkita ho ahemfoni ahema obosomtwe nyina bai ema me bu akonta kire wo mo ema mo hu de aye obosomtwe de MPP aban aye obosomtwe enche emfutura mo hu no mo hu no biem.
Ashanti Regional MPP Secretary Kwesi Aning says the party has learned lessons from 2020 elections and calls to rectifying them to raise their fortunes.
During the 2020 electionary campaign, some people were denying forms, others were not giving nomination forms to contest. We've learned those lessons. This year, the evidence is there. No one complained about not being given form to contest. Some few people were disqualified. They were disqualified on genuine grounds. If genuinely your documents are not up to date, if genuinely you do not meet the criteria, there's no way that we have to allow you to go. But everybody who was eligible and qualified was passed to go. If we leveled the grounds, we made the grounds fair, equal for everybody to contest. Nobody is complaining, and that's a good sign for the MPP. We are just praying that the 1 week left should be a peaceful week for everybody, so that at the end of the day, we would go out as a united party to win power for the party.
The party's primary for areas with existing seats in Parliament are expected to be held on 27th January 2024. Reporting for Journalist Clinton Yeboah.
And now to other stories on the camp of the NDC, who have hit hard at government over the delayed completion of infrastructure projects in the Ashanti region. Among stalled projects is the Phase 2 of the KJTR redevelopment project and the second phase of the Kumasi International Airport. NDC Regional Secretary Frank Amwakohene at a press briefing expressed worry about the delay and its impact on development. Nana Boache Iadom has more.
The second phase of the Kumasi Central Market, the Krufro Market and Phase 2 of the Kumasi International Airport are among several stalled projects in the Ashanti region. The delay in the completion of the Krufro Market, KJTR redevelopment and the Kumasi Airport projects, as well as other hospital projects, has led to several protests by traders and residents. According to the Ashanti Regional NDC Secretary Frank Amwakohene, the government has failed the region.
Government has failed Ashanti region, and there is no iota of doubt about that. I mean, a region that is your World Bank in terms of votes should not be treated this badly in terms of development, in terms of opportunities, among others. In fact, Ashanti region should have seen 2 or 3 times the development Eastern region has seen under Akufo-Addo. And we believe that Ashanti region has been sidelined so far as the Akufo-Addo administration is concerned. And it reflects even in his appointments, his ministers, his CEOs, among others. most of the key people who are Ashantis and could get opportunity under Akufo-Addo and help the Ashanti region have all been sidelined. And we believe that this current setup, MPP setup, has nothing to offer Ashanti region.
The NDC flag bearer, John Mahama, is expected to take his Building Ghana tour to the Ashanti region next week. Mr. Mwakohini outlined the itinerary of the former president while in Kumasi.
His Excellency John Mahama will stay for additional 2 days in the region. And whilst in the region, he's going to engage with organized labor, traders, market women, students, citizens, and everyone that we may come across within the communities that we have enlisted for this kind of engagement. We believe that this series of activities will bring His Excellency and the party much closer to the people.
The 24-hour economy sensitization walk will feature in the tour.
The road is clear now, and we are ready to embark on the retail campaign. And this retail campaign will be led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama himself. And it is scheduled for 24th, that is Wednesday, 24th January 2024. We are starting at exactly 8 o'clock a.m. And the route is as follows. We have amended it just to suit the other programs as well. So we start from Abu Abu Post Office. We will go through Pelele, on the run, Menshia Hospital. We proceed to Alaba Street, KJT Roundabout, Hello FM, A-Life, Asafo Overpass. We will go through Labour Roundabout, and then we will conclude our walk at the Jubilee Park.
For Joy News, Nana Boachidankwe Kumasi.
Now, Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Dan Kwesi, has urged beneficiary municipal and districts of the Gulf of Guinea Northern Region's Social Cohesion Project to work assiduously to ensure the people get the full benefits of the project. He noted that in times past, projects implemented by the government and development partners failed to reach the intended target. Speaking at the Upper West Regional Development Forum, Dan Kwesi said it was time to change the narrative and it must begin with the implementation of the Social Cohesion Project. Rafiq Salam reports.
Government of Ghana contracted a loan facility of $150 million United States dollars to implement the Gulf of Guinea Northern Region Social Cohesion (SOCO) project. It is aimed at contributing to the prevention of conflict spillover from Sahelian countries by improving the social and economic resilience of the targeted northern regions in the Gulf of Guinea countries comprising of Ghana, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. Under the project, 48 municipal and districts in the northern Gulf of the country are benefiting from the credit facility. All 11 municipal and districts in the Upper West region are benefiting from the project. Speaking at the Upper West Regional Development Forum on the SOCO project, Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Dan Kwesi, disclosed that the Upper West region benefited from 127 sub-projects in the first phase of the project, amounting to 48 million Ghana cedis. It is believed that the people living in the beneficial districts will have a feel of the project and embrace it.
When it rains, people will see, they will feel. They will say, you don't have to tell them it has rained. So if our programs and the projects we are implementing benefit the people will know, they will feel it. They don't have to go and read Ghana Living Standard Survey of Ghana Statistical Service to determine whether their lives have been improved or not. They will know. And now, as I'm directed, the websites of all district assemblies should clearly show and indicate all the monies that have been sent to the districts. And we'll make it available to the media.
Dan Kwesi, however, expressed worry over the litany of projects that were implemented in the northern Gulf of the country in the past who failed to yield the desired results. He urged authorities at the beneficiary municipal and districts to be transparent and work to ensure that the projects achieve its intended target.
One major thing, that's why this money was secured, was that the fear of spillover spillover of the conflict, the violence, the extremism, and people become very susceptible when their living conditions are not improved. Hence, this resource started being made available. And so we have programs targeted at the youth, when the youth will meet and discuss things. They will create the avenue and the forum for them to do that. I have observed, and I'm very satisfied with that, that through some of this implementation, I saw some community games and programs, football and other games being organized through this initiative of school. So apart from fiscal development, all other projects and other strategies to make sure that the social cohesion, so that it will be difficult for people to infiltrate and also spread some of these extremist ideas to us.
Our Power Sudan Minister, Dr. Hafiz bin Sali, opined that the Soko project is a game changer. One municipal and district assemblies who fail to live up to expectation will be held responsible.
Despite the advanced interventions, there are still challenges that affect performance at the district assembly level, which has to do with reporting timelines, data gathering, storage and retrieval, and that is why it is imperative to accept and operationalize the digital management platform. The Regional Coordinating Council will continue to monitor district assemblies in the implementation of programs and projects and shall hold any assembly that fails to live up to expectation responsible.
Vice Chairman of the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, David Kwesi Aning, chaired the function.
Successive interventions have not improved access to livelihood opportunities. Therefore, the resultant effect is an extensive migration from them by the youth towards the south in search of greener pastures. These, notwithstanding, have made in the past by government, development partners, and non-governmental organizations. However, the impact of these interventions have been hindered by the lack of coordination and fragmented approach towards implementation of the programs.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And now to the Black Stars. Ahead of the final group game of the ongoing African Cup of Nations tournament in Côte d'Ivoire, some Ghanaian fans in Abidjan are optimistic that the Black Stars of Ghana will beat their Mozambican counterparts to book their tickets to the next round of the tournament. My colleague Anas Tabit has been speaking with some of them on the streets of Trashville and came through with this report.
The African Cup of Nations enters its third round of matches in the group stages, and today the Black Stars of Ghana will be locking horns with the Mozambicans in that crucial encounter that will determine who seals its ticket to the next stage of the competition. Ahead of this particular crucial encounter, we hit the streets here in Trashville to gauge the expectations of the Ghanaian community or the Ghanaian fans who are here in their numbers to show their support behind the Black Stars of Ghana. Let's have a listen to what their expectations are ahead of that game against Mozambique.
As a Ghanaian, Black Stars are the only team that we have, so we must give them maximum support for them to win tomorrow. So I'm sure that we are going to do better than what they do against Egypt.
We are expecting nothing but victory, and we are just encouraging our brothers in Ghana that they should keep on praying. Both Muslims and Christians, they should intensify their prayers, because tomorrow's match is going to determine whether we are winning the trophy or not.
We are optimistic in the sense that looking at the last match we played against Egypt, the energy and the determination our players use clearly tells that they have the nation at heart, and certainly, God willing, tomorrow we are going to get the 3 maximum points and qualify to the next stage.
These Ghanaian fans want nothing but absolute support from the Ghanaian community. A couple of them feel quite disappointed, especially when they hear that some Ghanaians are hoping that the Black Stars should be knocked out. They want absolute prayers from the Ghanaian community at home to enable the Black Stars of Ghana and the entire team, excel in that game against Mozambique.
Yeah, encourage you all. Oh, because the ball now, Sunday, Bobana, must say, Ghana for the year, again, one somewhere there. More encourage you more in spiritual. A better almost a young body. Ran upon the way, boy, just to see our Mushisha here. Fatina Niaje, Ghana will be Sakwana just in one steady. And the Yatia say, but for a crack, that was soon, not for war.
The fear for some here only in Bible. Some better among Kundia, because Sakundia win, and as you go in a so what first round here, you were free. Hey, Yapa, we pump a papa, a tab blaster, China, Kundia blaster idea. Kakamakatan, I am from Papa and Chichi. May look Mobia Paba, Ubia Shan Holding, near Bible and Chichi, maybe we are calling.
Now we've heard the expectations as well as what they expect from the Ghanaian community back home. What are their predictions in this particular mouth-watering encounter that will be played this evening?
Second match in a boy, that will just say the Bayer win some match and I come on 2-2. But Yampaba. But maybe to say then your boy 3-0. Now you qualify for that.
Yes, tomorrow inshallah we are going to win by 3 goals. 1 or 3-0.
Yeah, Kudus will score, and then the other one is Dreadlocks, Majid. So we are going to score them 2-1 or 2-0. Yeah.
At least 2-0 there was a Ghana second. Certainly Ghana is going to win 2-1 against Mozambique. Sure. But they shot 3-1. Yamiti.
So these are the views from the Ghanaian community here on the streets of Treshville. From Abidjan here in La Côte d'Ivoire. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Anas Sad.
And there you have it. The Black Stars need our support. Forget about the calculations and just pray for a miracle ahead of tonight's game. And that's how we wrap up for the AM News. My name is Sweetie Abochi. Up next is News Review with Benjamin Akapo, joined by Kojo Poku, who is an energy analyst. Keep watching.
News review of the week, and this segment is brought to you, as always, courtesy of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, what they're offering you, pay attention, right? If you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening, not a prostate. Women don't have prostates. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Now, these two things are doing a lot of ill to many people because as you advance in age, naturally, your prostate will enlarge. But how are you checking it? And in fact, checking out some of these developments is the best way to save yourself. Once it goes past a certain point, it's practically, it's inevitable that something might have to happen or your prostate even might have to be taken out. You don't want to get to that point. If you're a woman, what's your fertility like? Do you know? A lot of women are coming up with fibroids nowadays. We've been told that scientifically, practically every woman has some fibroid development. Just as with using glasses, where some people's eye defects don't develop to the point where they need glasses, so too with fibroids. For many women, it may not develop to the point where you need some medical attention or surgery. But do you know your status? Which is why this morning, I'm proffering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. If you'd like to locate them, here's where you can find them. In Accra, they're at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. In Kumasi, Kronomabwe here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra Deanaji Estate. There's Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Asiamanzama. Their call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. It's now some 43 minutes off the top of the hour. We're going to maximize the time as we host Kojo Poku, an energy analyst. He joins me for a conversation. Mr. Poku, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm okay. I hope you are too. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I've not heard from you, seen you. I mean, the way Ben, me and you are, I was thinking that, I mean, me and you would have had a very good Christmas, New Year, probably had a beer or so, but nothing from my brother.
Since the presidential primary of your party, you've been pretty busy, and I was also looking forward to hearing something from you. I don't drink beer, by the way, so if we meet, it might have to be something else. Maybe Pito, but not not
or maybe a 25-year whiskey, single malt.
Hey, where you are taking me? These are senior levels. I've never got to that point.
Oh, but you're hanging out with a senior man. You think if the level don't change?
Oh, I see. Okay. I'll take it that way. Kojo, good to have you join the conversation. The first thing I want to run by you, you participated in the presidential primary of the MPP. Since that time, I've seen you post a lot of stuff about Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the vice president, among others. I mean, you lent your support to him going into the final bit, where it was him together with Kennedy Ejapong and the others. I'd like to find out from you, what have you been up to since that time?
Well, basically, there's a lot of work going on in the background. We are still in the election process because, we have the sitting MP coming up this coming Saturday. And good luck to all the parliamentary aspirants, and I wish it goes very well. Personally, I have just been basically, when I was doing the process of the the presidential aspirants, I had a lot of in-trays in the office. So I had to basically get back to the office and catch up with work. But at the same time, we've been communicating with the team in place, and then basically gearing up, looking at what are some of the things that we would do when this process starts properly next month. So it's been a bit of going back to work to basically catch up with work, and also in the background, basically putting in place some of the things that we hope will serve Ghanaians better when we start, and be able to talk to Ghanaians about the things that the government has done and what the coming campaign will look like.
I see. All right. And now we're, of course, expecting the parliamentary primaries in some constituencies of the party. Some people have stepped aside, some have been disqualified. In some areas, at least in one area, there's a legal issue, a legal tussle, among others. What are your expectations on that? Especially as today, we have a conversation later on the show about electoral violence, and we are looking at not just inter-party, the inter-party situation, but intra-party as well. What do you foresee as far as the parliamentary primaries are concerned?
You mentioned an area with, what area is that with the illegal challenge?
There's one, I'd have to check, but at least I remember that there was one.
The one that was on the one that was on Inshaeso has been withdrawn. So I don't know if it's Inshaeso that you have. There was Inshaeso, but that was withdrawn sometime last week. So I don't know if any
this what I'm mentioning is from last week, so maybe it's that one.
Yes, Inshaeso had a court case pending.
Inshaeso, that is Dr. Stephen
Amoah. Is it Amoah?
Yeah. That's him, right?
Yes, Stephen Amoah, yes.
All right. So, what are you looking forward to?
It's going to go well. Whatever the challenges are, I'm sure the party is on top of it. Yesterday, the General Secretary was in Ashanti Region, where there were some issues on the voting centers. And look, the team is working very hard. The election committee of the party is working very hard to make sure. This time round, a lot of people had the opportunity to contest people. There was no backroom dealings of, let him step down, let him go unopposed. There was no such thing. Everybody going unopposed this time is unopposed because nobody in that constituency contested them. There was no interference from the head or no interference from anybody. Everybody was allowed. And in some instances, some people felt some people should have been disqualified, but the party said, no, let them go through. Let the person go and try their luck. If they win, fine. They don't, we move on.
I see. All right. Again, right before we get into the papers, I think at the top of the hour, we can get into the papers. Two issues, and I'm sure this will interest you. The electricity company of Ghana in recent times has had to grapple with erratic power delivery to the people, of course, supply. And there have been so many things from weeks ago, the WAPCO situation and everything developing. In a recent statement, they talk about the fact that there's erratic supply, but it's not doomsday. And I saw comments on social media, and they were pretty interesting. What do you make of the power situation now, energy, and how it's being dealt with? A lot of people are upset about how the lights, just the other day, this was how many days ago? I was at my mom's and the lights just kept fluctuating wildly. In some instances, it would go off for a day. And many people are up in arms about that. There's also the situation with the Bawku killings and the military saying that they were engaged. The people say there was no such engagement, that these people were killed in cold blood. It's an ongoing issue. We're talking about it today. Do you have any quick thoughts on these two matters before we get into the papers?
Yes. You mentioned that someone said that there's erratic supply of power. I don't think there is erratic supply of power. The
ECG came out with a statement.
Well, I have not seen that statement, and I'll be very surprised if ECG comes and say that there is erratic supply, because that statement means a lot. In localized areas where there is transformers and lines and stuff that are faulty, the light goes off, that is the erratic situation in that area. But if somebody from ECG says that there is erratic supply of power, it means the supply of power is not consistent, which for me, I don't know of any such situation across the country. Pretty much we have a very good installed capacity. We have enough gas to supply that installed capacity. So in terms of supplying electricity to the household across the country, there is no problem.
All right, so let me read this out to you. It was actually, I believe, on social media, Electricity Company of Ghana Limited on social media. Dear customers, we have noticed the concerns about intermittent power supply in some areas. We understand the impact this has, and we are actively addressing all the issues. While there is no doomsday, we are still working to enhance the stability of the power supply. Then they gave call numbers. Intermittent power supply in some areas.
That's the word. Intermittent is different from erratic. So I thought we'll clarify that. Intermittent power supply is a technical word for when, like you said, you are at your mom's place, like goes up, comes back, the voltage goes down. Those are intermittent. But
why do you think that all that is happening? Why do you think?
Because there are challenges in the system. There are challenges in the ECG distribution system. They need to change a lot of the transformers. In most areas, the transformers are overloaded. They need to upgrade the transformers or do what you call an insertion. Okay? So look, as we grow, we need to spend money on infrastructure. That is not being done. And if you guys remember, the whole idea of the private sector participation was to inject $100 million every year for the next 5 years. That has not been done. That money, which we needed so badly 4 or 5 years ago, has not been injected. So ECG equipment need to be upgraded. One, need to basically upgrade certain areas where the transformers, the people living in the area have now gotten more air conditioning, more electrical gadgets. So the force or the pressure on the existing infrastructure does not cope with the area. And that is the exercise that ECG needs to do immediately. In terms of Bawku, it's very sad.
In the meantime, before you get to Bawku, there's also VAT on electricity now. And basically,
there isn't VAT. There's a proposed VAT on electricity. There is none at the moment.
I'm not saying it is extant. I'm saying the proposal of VAT, just as the VIT, for example, has not properly taken off the vehicle income tax. That too is there, but it's not properly taken off. But VAT, as the proposal is on electricity, what do you make of it?
Well, I have come out to say that we should step it down for now. Beginning of the year is really rampant in terms of there is a lot of taxes that have come in the 2024 budget. VAT on electricity, a lot of people think that it's being put on there to solve the problems in the electricity sector. It's not. VAT is VAT. It's going to go to GRA as tax revenue. So my suggestion is that we are pleading with government to basically heed the call of the people and step it down. This is a law that was passed in 1998. Now, it was put on business tariffs, which is the commercial meters. It was stepped down on the residential. Since 98, it's been stepped down till now. I don't think stepping it down for another year or so would hurt anybody. So we are pleading with the institutions to step it down for now.
All right. Yeah, you were going to say something about Bawku briefly.
Bawku is unfortunate. It's a really a boiling pot. And if you remember, the vice president paid a visit to Bawku and pleaded with the people that the Kusasi and the Mamprusis can live in one piece. We need to get Bawku. I have a special heart to Bawku because every time that I'm in that area, I try to basically go to Pusiga and visit where Howard's home is. And I can't because I'll go to Bogatanga and I can't even go past Zigila. Okay, so it's a problem that we need to get Bawku to grow. Bawku is a vibrant township. As much as people now see Aflao as a very vibrant town, Bawku can be that town where it's a bordering town to Burkina Faso. So if we can solve some of these problems, we can have a very vibrant border town where there will be a lot of development for the people. Now, you look at the Eastern Corridor Road, which now goes through Yendi and goes all the way through the last lot when built will go through Pusiga into the Burkina Faso. That will also bring a lot of development to the Bawku area. We are pleading with them to let peace prevail.
The Daily Graphic now. Time for moral vision to propel nation, Apostle Nyameche says so. Central Regional House of Chiefs endorses lithium mining agreement. The $600 million second tranche release. IMF reposes trust in economy, says election won't derail gains. Global thinking, local action must blend to spread development. Dan Boche advocates. GCGL PPAG commit to push youth agenda. And yes, Ghana in do or die clash with Mozambique. I don't know what you make of the performance of the Black Stars so far, but let me add some stories and then you can add your thoughts on that as well. The International Monetary Fund is optimistic that Ghana will stay within the program targets and the 2024 budget in spite of the spending pressures that characterize electoral years in the country. The fund said it had engaged with the government, which had demonstrated a strong commitment to expenditure performance, spending strictly according to the budget in 2024. Now, speaking at a joint news conference by the Ministry of Finance and the IMF on the approval of the first review of Ghana's 3-year extended credit facility program by the Executive Board, the IMF Mission Chief to Ghana, Stefan Rude, said, quote, "We have ratings under the program in terms of spending, which have been codified in the budget that was approved by Parliament." For his part, the Finance Minister said the IMF Board's approval of the first review and the recent agreement with the OCC set the stage for an impending re-engagement with bondholders, which would commence this week. But even as we talk about all of that, you can tie this into the sports. Even as you talk about all of that, there's the issue of the cocoa bills once more. People saying, for example, those who opted out not getting their returns. It's almost as though if you had opted out, well, there are so many other dynamics at play. What's your reading of the situation? And how will the $600 million impact our economy from where you sit?
Well, I think those that opted out, some have been paid. Maybe not everybody has been paid, but there has been some payment that has gone on in the past couple of months. Look, you know my thoughts on when we went IMF and my criticism of the process and the finance minister in the past. But look, that is water under the bridge. We have to be forward-looking. We've gone through the second tranche and the second review of the IMF program. We've done well so far. Look, we have to basically put ourselves together. Some of us are of the view that we have to lower the expenditure band to basically be in tandem with our revenues. We seem to have a runaway train called expenditure, and then we are trying to catch it up with revenue, and we are taxing all over. People keep saying that, look, the MPP government said that, they're going to move the country from taxation to production. It's something that is ongoing. Today, when you look at if you are going to now do production, which is the 1D, 1F policy and some of the stimulus packages that the Ministry of Trade introduced for companies, if government do not find money to support these industries, there were existing industries that wanted to open other branches or other locations, and they didn't have the money to do it. And through the 1D, 1F, government was able to find stimulus packages, reduction in taxes, waiver of import duties, and all those things for these companies to produce, open more factories, employ more people, and produce. So that statement, when people keep saying,
is it also to say that those who criticize the whole thinking of a Ghana beyond aid and where we've, especially as, I mean, no one forced us to bring up that mantra. So a whole Ghana beyond aid, which doesn't necessarily mean that you are not getting help from anywhere, but a Ghana beyond aid and then spending recklessly and getting to where we are they wrong?
But Ghana Beyond Aid, for me, I thought, I have said it on your platform. I think that, look, we should do what we need to do and stop all these slangs and mantras. I mean, we don't need to have every government tends to have these things. But Ghana Beyond Aid was before COVID. All the projects of this government were thrown out of whack because of COVID. And we can't mention the effect of COVID on this economy enough. So I think we've gone on and on about it. But for me, what I'm trying to say is that I wanted to correct that notion that people keep saying that, look, yes, we've gone for IMF, we've gotten 600 million on the second tranche. What next? What next is for us to resolve our internal problem. What next is for government to basically be able to educate the public and let the public understand that taxation is better than borrowing. So when we are coming out of the IMF, we should tax, then widen the tax net and basically introduce ingenuity taxes to basically help grow the economy. If you borrow, it devalues your currency. If you borrow, interest rate goes up. If you tax, you grow a stable and a more long beneficial economy than you going out to borrow. We borrowed, and now this is where it's left us. My thought is that the 600 million IMF thing is a good thing. A lot of roads that are bad will be get done. Look, the MPP government has opened up the country with the 16 regions that we've done. Some of these money will go to some of these new regions to build up infrastructure. We'll be able to support some of the initiatives that the government have. But for me, we need to look beyond that. Let's do the education for people to understand that we need to look within for our future progress, not to be borrowing. That's on that. On the performance of the football, the Black Star is becoming a bit of a sweet and sour taste for me now because, you know, they are doing well and in 1 minute, somebody is scoring 2 goals and we're all saying kudos. The next minute, somebody is reversing and playing the ball back into his own 18 box. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that we need to win against Mozambique. If we win, then we pray that Cape Verde now beats Egypt. That is the only way that we advance to the next round. If not, we are coming back home.
Let's get into the next story, Kojopoku. And of course, I think I'll look at the one on page 13, and then we can make progress from there. So it says, time for moral vision to propel a nation. That's according to Apostle Nyameche. So what exactly is he saying? The chairman of the Church of Pentecost, Apostle Eric Nyameche, says it is time to develop a national moral vision to serve as a platform for national development. Now, a nation with conflicting values cannot meet its intended development aspirations, he said. It is a fact that everything rises and falls on the leader, but it is also true that the character of the people a leader supervises will determine the leader's success or otherwise, he said. He also said, when the people a leader presides over do not uphold values, achieving success as a leader would be difficult to attain. Why didn't Moses, Israel's greatest leader, enter the promised land? The character of the people. Why did the whole priest, Aaron, make for Israel a golden calf to worship? The pressure from the people. Why was he prevented from entering the promised land? The people. This is how he couches it. Of course, the people cannot be extracted from the entire situation or dislocated from it. But I don't know. They will always say that our leaders are picked from within. But at the same time, you look at places like Singapore, it took someone standing against what the people were used to for their society to be transformed. I don't know what you make of this.
Well, there can only be one leader. And leaders are picked from within, but that is why the person is called a leader. People are natural born followers and they are natural born leaders. So when you're picking from within, you don't pick followers to come and lead because then you always be looking behind him to look for directions. Basically, you have to pick from within a leader. So that leader will now set the example and the natural born leaders will now follow. The point he's making, which is very important, and it ties into some of the things I was going to say on when you brought up the IMF thing. Look, we have a productivity issue. About close to 40% of our internal tax revenue goes towards paying the salaries of government workers. These government workers, for me, I've always said this and gotten a slack for it. Some of them do not give us the productivity that we need to move this country forward. Everybody complains that Ghana is not moving forward. But like you said, it is us. The land, the trees, the rivers are not Ghana. It is the people that make Ghana, Ghana. So if we pay all these salaries to people, yes, it might not be enough. But the little salary that you get, if you do not work hard, if you do not have that urgency, if you do not have that decency at work, if you do not have that productivity for us to move that country forward, then you will forever not get the increase that you need. Because today we are spending about 40% of our tax revenue on government salary. If you work hard and the country prosper, you will prosper as well. So I share his statement, and I think that the two key areas for me is urgency and decency. Okay, we don't seem to have urgency in the country. And the level of decency is also going down with the youth that is coming. So we need to up those gains, but it is on the leader to basically instill those things and make sure that these things are followed. We saw that with decency and urgency, we'll end up with productivity.
Well, on the international front, we have Nigerian ex-president sent to mediate tensions. And in a bid to prevent the escalating tensions between Ethiopia and Somalia from spiraling into a full-blown war, the African Union's Peace and Security Council has deployed former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo for negotiation efforts. Then, South African government to block auction of Nelson Mandela's items in the U.S. A planned auction in the U.S. of about 70 personal items belonging to former South African president, anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela may be stopped as the South African government has filed a motion in court to prevent its sale. That's it with the Daily Graphic newspaper. Let's hit the Daily Guide now. New railway engines land February. Bosomtwe endorses Educhum for 2024. And Baumia opens Wungu Fire Service Academy. I'll focus on the railway bit. It makes for interesting reading because you know our history with railways. I mean, we even spoke about the SkyTrain, and some would say from the But the resuscitation of the railway system in the country will witness a major boost mid-February with the arrival of 12 units of modern diesel train engines and vehicles from Poland. The units, part of a comprehensive arrangement in the ongoing railway resuscitation project across the country, are expected to facilitate the activation of regional and long-distance operations of the passenger and freight train system in the country. An official of the Polish railway company charged with the task of producing the engines, Rynek Kolechori, who broke the news, said the modern railways are expected in mid-February. Some people have said, Kojopoku, that one of the reasons we are not propelling our economy as quickly as it could go is because we don't have a proper network, rail network, and of course, road network. But what do you make of this? Is it going to bring about any major change looking at what you already know?
And it's unfortunate that I keep saying that Ghana will retrogress. Look, we had a very good railway system. Okay, we had one of the most extensive railway system in Ghana, I think, compared to a lot of the West African countries. Our colonial masters, the British, did very well in building a very robust network of rails. I remember as a kid, I would always go and see my mom off in Kumasi, the sleeper. She would take the sleeper to Accra from around that Bompata area where the railways was. Then we went through a period where we went through the dark ages of our country, the PNDC, where there seemed to be a problem with the railway union, and we scrapped and stopped that whole railway progression. Then people started selling the railway as scrap, people taking the metals and selling them. People started selling the land, encroaching on the land of the railway authority, where the future expansion will have gone through. Now people are basically staying in most parts on these railway lines, okay? It's sad. If you go to Kumasi, where the railway lines used to go through, Asaf Market, Aswansi area, it has been basically encroached on by markets and people have built and all that. The sad news is that we stopped looking at railway in the past. Now we have a visionary government that is saying that, look, I'm going to bring the railway back. Government is continuous. So in the past, during his Ashanti John Dramani Mahama time, they started the Tema Pakadan Akosombo Rail, which has been completed by the Nanado government. These new trains that are coming, I'm told, are going to go on that line, and some will also go on the rehabilitated Western lines. It's a good thing. But you see, I always keep saying that when I become a leader, I know I will succeed. But what will be the legacy going forward because of the maintenance? Every leader today in Ghana is scared because after they leave, would their legacy be maintained? Maintenance culture has been a problem in this country. So yes, we see this beautiful.
Well, you say they are scared. Will their legacy be, maintained or continued? As you do to others, I suppose it will be done to you. Both the NDC and the MPP have displayed, maybe some more than others, that. And interestingly, this was part of my. One of my priests in church, part of his homily over the weekend, that we should pray for our leaders. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So if someone does something and I come back and say, and actually this project was started by John Ejekum Kufuor and I ended it, if I acknowledge the person, what does it do? Our politics has become so puerile, petty, and you can't even understand the politics of it. I mean, for me, yes, you want to put your political party up there and say that we've done this, we've done that. You can initiate your own projects, but what sense does it make that taxpayers' money has been used to start something? You come and you ignore it because, this and that. And as you bring that up, let me also bring this. In recent times, people have had cause to go after the president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in respect of what he said about Ekumfi at that meeting, that, hey, and, I've not paid attention to you. You voted Ato Kujo out in 2020 when I'd made him, he had won in 2016, and I'd given him a deputy ministerial position. With that kind of mindset, how do we get anywhere?
Well, look, just to elaborate on that.
I want you to also elaborate on what the president said.
The Kumfi area has a DCE. The Kumfi area has a DCE. The Kumfi area is part of the Western region. I don't think development in that area has been zero, as people are trying to make it look like, because that was said.
You heard from the president's own mouth. He said, I've neglected it. I want your reaction to that. I'm not asking about whether there are any developments.
I wouldn't want to react to that. He can react on his own terms when he has the time why he said that. I don't want to react to that. The point I want to say is that I don't honestly believe that development in that area has been zero. There's been development in that area.
But that's not what the president said. I don't want to react to what the president said. He can react on his own. But my point is, I don't think that development in the Kumfi has been zero. Okay? The point that you bring, which is very important, is that mindset. Look, I have always said that we should be politics of forward-looking. If you are politics of forward-looking, you will embrace what your predecessor has done and put it in good shape, provide maintenance, and also build upon it. That is politics of forward-looking. When we always had that bad mind mindset, that bastardization mindset, we need to bring him down before I can be somebody. Look, I went around the whole country 3 times and basically told people my vision when I was doing a presidential aspirant thing. Never in my 1 hour, 30 minutes presentation, I ever spoke about anybody. Never. I did not. Because I didn't have to. I was out there telling people about my message, my vision, and what I want to do. So what I think that we should move away from, and that is why, look, for me, I think, Ben, you admit, for someone like us, coming out openly and being part of politics, some people say that, look, it's a breath of fresh air, because our politics is different. The politics, and the reason I embrace Dr. Bawumia is that his politics is different. You understand? You see a man with humility, you see that man with the kind of brassiere that he has, and it washes off on you. So at the end of the day, we know that the politics going forward is a new set of politics. And post-February, everybody will see that the new team that will come together is a new set of politics. All right. Kojo, we're going to have to sew it up here. We're going to be talking a lot about the Black Stars moving forward. But thank you very much for joining us this morning. Kojo Poku.
Thank you, Ben. And like I said, me and you, we have a single malt date. So whenever you're ready, let me know.
All right. And interestingly, I come through that area quite a bit, so I guess it shouldn't be a problem. I'll not mention which area for security reasons. Anyway, thank you, Kojo, for joining the conversation. As we veer into sports, of course, this segment brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They are offering free prostate screening if you're a man, free fertility screening if you're a woman. Just reach out to them at any of their branches here in Accra. Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi Krunumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Stakra Dianaji State, Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa and Siaman Zima. The call lines 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Time now for sports, and yes, we'll bring you a bit of talk about all the permutations. If this happens and that happens, and even if we place that one of those best qualifying teams in the third position, Charlie. But anyway, sports is up next.
Good morning. Let's do sports now on the AM show. My name is Haruna Mubarak. We start at the Africa Cup of Nations, where the Black Stars enter a do-or-die scenario in their final group game tonight against Mozambique. The team has 1 point from a possible 6, which makes today's game a must-win. My colleague Muftar Nabila Abdullahi was at the team's final training session yesterday and came through with this report.
All players are available for selection on Monday. That is so far what we have witnessed at the training grounds as the Black Stars prepare for that make or break encounter against Mozambique on Monday. It is a game that will define Ghana's future in this year's African Cup of Nations. Majuda Shimeru, who was pulled out of that game against Egypt on Thursday, he's here training with his colleagues. Chris Houghton earlier on Sunday had mentioned that the technical team will assess the fitness level of Majuda Shimeru and make a determination as to whether he will be part of that team that would play on Monday against Mozambique.
The update on Majid is that we are still assessing him, but the signs are good. He will train today, and the signs are good that he will be fine. And this was a situation in the game where we had to bring him off. He'd received a kick in training before that, and a consequence of that meant as he started to get into the latter part of the game, he was feeling it.
Apart from that, Chris Houghton had also spoken about the expectations of many Ghanaians who are hoping that this team would not exit the competition like they did in Cameroon in 2021.
I think there is always a pressure going into this tournament because we are the Black Stars. I accept the first part of your question that potentially going into this tournament, the expectations maybe were not as high as in previous years. So this I accept. But for all of these questions and for any question that anybody asks about pressure now, we have to use that as motivation, and the players have to use that as motivation. And I would like to think that after the first performance, we always know there will be criticism if we don't get the results that we want. And I would like to think that the team used that in a positive way. And if the expectations are perhaps lower this tournament than they have been in previous tournaments, then exactly the same. We have to use this as motivation to make sure that we succeed in what our ambitions are.
Dennis Odoi, who spoke to the media at a pre-match press conference on Sunday, had mentioned that on match day 1, the players did not cover their lines so much, and he says it is important that everyone responds to the issues that they had on match day 1 and ensure that there's success on Monday against Mozambique.
I think
Yeah, after the first game, there were obviously some issues that needed to be sorted, and I think if we look at the second game, that was already much better. I'm thinking like in the first game we had some issues with players being available between the lines. I think in the second game we were more compact, so there was less space for Egypt to find the players in between the lines, and also if the lines are closer to one another, it's easier to press and you can be more aggressive. If the lines are far apart, then you always get caught up in between. So I think like off the ball against Mozambique, we'll need to do the same thing.
A win for Ghana against Mozambique is non-negotiable. Chris Hilton and his boys are aware. Millions of Ghanaians are expectant. Even neutrals are expectant because they believe Ghana must always be there when it matters most. Muftau Nabila Abdullahi reporting for Joy Sports.
Ahead of the big game, Ghana's 1978 AFCON winner, Willie Kluche, has warned the players against individualism. According to him, unity is the attribute needed to win the game.
That the team can do is the playing body themselves will come together, talk to themselves, and promise themselves that the whole nation is looking up to us. So we have to do well to put smile on people's face and to let people believe in us. Playing the game and making a name for yourself is not enough. You have to keep the performance always at the high point, in the sense that at the end of the day, even if you have stopped playing, people can remember you in a certain particular situation and classify you as a great player because you did something in a particular match and you brought smile to their faces. So leaving a mark in the game is very, very important. And I believe that is what they're supposed to do in the coming matches. They should leave a legacy so that one day when they stop playing, they can refer to them based on the performance they put up in a particular game or in a particular tournament. So right now, the best thing for them to do is to talk to themselves, minus the coaches and the technical team or the management of the team. The playing bodies themselves, the captain have to organize that meeting and talk to themselves, to be frank to themselves that Charlie, people are expecting more from us than what we are putting up there. And self-ego and those things must be buried. And teamwork must play a role now.
It's heartbreaking and very disappointing that people that we expect they will be protecting our lives and properties are the same people who are taking our lives. And at least the least they could have done was to arrest these people if truly these people committed a crime. But it's so sad. People before curfew hours were arrested and were killed gruesomely for nothing. In fact, the media, government, and all responsible citizens of Ghana should take up this issue and make sure that the military, whom we thought were the ones who were going to protect our lives, are rather the ones killing us, should be taken out of Bawku. They should be taken out completely. We don't trust them anymore. This is not the first time. This is the fourth time that these incidents have happened within COSAC, and their target is always against COSAC. Why should you protect the minority? It is just obvious and clear that the military has no solution to the Bawku conflict. Please, they are trading with our lives, and that is our fears now. They are trading, and I repeat it, they are trading with our lives.
We communicate to whoever that is responsible for them. Is it the President of the Republic of Ghana? Is it the Vice President? Is it the Minister for Security whatsoever? They should take them away from Bawku. We don't need them. Yes. Take them away from Bawku. We don't need them. Leave us to our fate. It is our land. We can protect ourselves. We don't need them. They are fighting for the man-process. They tell us in our faces that they are protecting the few. They are protecting the minority. It means the handful of people in Bawku claim they own Bawku. You are protecting them. How come they own Bawku?
Big stories, and of course, that is the conversation. Bawku is boiling again, simmering tensions there. In recent times, that first incident, including a lecturer losing his life, 3 people affected, 3 people killed, and then over 5 of them injured and in hospital receiving treatment. After that, the military had some tussle with another group of people. We cannot establish yet whether they had any hand in that previous action, but these 3 were killed. And the military suggests that these people engaged them in fire, and they returned fire, and that was the result. Joining us for a conversation this morning, we have Professor Kwesi Aning, and he is a security consultant. He provides bespoke services in risk assessment, analyses, and forecasting. He joins us for a conversation on this. Prof, a very good morning to you. And since it's the first time we're interacting this year, Happy New Year.
Well, let me say a very Happy New Year to you too, and a very good morning.
Right. I don't know how good the morning is, though, because here we are again. I mean, Prof, how many times have we not had these conversations? Bawku and everything happening in between. But to start off the conversation, I'd like to get your general security assessment of what is happening in Bawku. We know it's been going on for decades, 5 plus decades. What do you make of what is happening in Bawku and the latest incidents that we've seen?
Well, I think what is happening in Bawku is unfortunate, and I want to express my condolences to those who have lost their lives and to those who are hurt. But it doesn't come as a surprise. This will not be the last time. Actually, it's going to escalate dramatically, depending on how we respond to the latest challenges. Bawku has been allowed to fester over the decades, and the approach first to understanding what is driving the crisis, the way it may have transformed over time, how outsiders and conflict profiteers may be exploiting the challenges and diverting attention from the critical issues at stake and leading those who ought to respond in directions that do not touch the core of the problem. Bawku is fascinating because it exposes the shallowness of how we are looking at this problem. So it's been an ethnic conflict between 2 major groups. It's been, relating to chieftaincy, identity, access to land, but also, of course, if the stories that we are hearing about the latest incidents, access to military-style weaponry. Now, almost every category of explanatory framework that I have provided, were we to disaggregate them, leads to even more confusion, but certainly gives us a sense that we are not tackling this problem the way that it ought to be tackled. Unfortunately, when crises do happen and emotions get involved, then disentangling it becomes very difficult. There is another factor that we need to understand. And that factor is that over time, and this is what I have mentioned earlier on tangentially, is that social media is playing a role that sometimes, or more often than not, is not very helpful. Because the speed with which false information, the help of AI, manipulated visuals can be placed in the public domain, that of course, ordinary people will accept, propagate, and then also forward, means that we need not only to continue the talk, but to sit down and honestly say, what are the challenges? Where have we failed? And are we willing and prepared to take the bull by the horn? Until we do that, and I'll repeat, this probably may be just the beginning. You and I will have a couple of conversations about this challenge if we don't tackle it right before the December 7th elections.
And that's exactly what I found interesting that I was about to get back to. You say, I mean, this could just be the beginning. It won't be the last time. You said that initially, and you said this situation could escalate dramatically or drastically over time. Are you saying that possibly, and I spoke to Dr. Doke, or Doke the other day, and he also mentioned that this has become intractable. Do you see from where you said that it has become that intractable?
Actually, I had a really very clever graduate student who wrote a dissertation and did a fantastic piece of work on conflict intractability, but did not use Bawku as the case study. Bawku has become intractable not because of the Mampusis and the Kusasis, neither because of contestations around identity and the chiefship. They are all part of the mix. But I think we need to bring a political economy analysis to this. And that is why I asked your producer to get me a map looking at the whole northern stretch of Togo to the northern stretch of Ghana and to the southern part of Burkina Faso, and to ask ourselves, what are the types of criminal activities, transnational organized criminal activities that are taking place if your producer can put the cursor from Kunjuari to Senkase all the way to Pusiga on the Ghana side, and then to Bawku, and then to Bolgatanga. The southern part of Burkina Faso also provides a wonderful opportunity for criminal networks, to engage in petrol, fertilizer, maize, soybean, plastics. If we take the cursor up a little bit to the middle part of Burkina Faso, there is a city there called Fada Nguma, the single largest cattle market in West Africa. The criminal networks are still able to shift cattle across the whole of the sub-region and also into Ghana. The criminal stock exchange that manipulates the prices of fertilizer, petrol, diesel, and plastics are the people that we need to identify, understand their thought processes, and then to say, how do these people probably manipulate already existing tensions, okay, creating havoc and loss of lives, purely to allow them to engage, in their business and criminal enterprises.
Right.
My argument is that whilst these
and we're currently looking at Father Nguma right now on.
So
on
if you
screens.
see where Father Nguma is, and this is where sometimes I'm increasingly also challenging this notion of the violent extremists coming down south to the coast. If we see where Father Nguma is, that is supposed to be in real hardcore violent extremist territory. But the cattle market is actually booming. And there are studies showing the different directions through which cattle from Father Nguma and other places come across the sub-region. So my suggestion is that were we to have another look and to invite counterfactual interpretations, I would suggest to those who will sit around the table to look at the economies of scale involving these commodities that I have mentioned. Who are the people involved? Their networks in Bawku, because it's easy to manipulate people to take actions that they themselves are not aware of in terms of its multiplier effect. And I would argue very strongly that the unfortunate incidences happening in Bawku are more related to the external manipulation by criminal networks and big criminal networks, because the cost of fertilizer, smuggled fertilizer alone out of Ghana, it's about 150 million cedis annually. So if you add all the other stuff, then we are looking at sums of money that people will manipulate any conflict to allow them to continue with their trade. So we are looking at this, I would argue, totally wrongly.
I'd like to find out from you, now that you are talking about Father Nguma and other places from Burkina Faso. Of course, now it's complicated because even if you move away from Bawku and you get to some other areas, Sisala, I think Sisala West, among other areas, that also feed into, if I'm getting the place right, that also feed into Burkina Faso, have a border. You would realize that some people even cross over from Ghana to go to Burkina Faso to seek healthcare. And some of them also smuggle different items. If you look at that area, it's a huge maize production area. I'm not talking about Bawku, I'm talking about the Sisala West area.
Sure.
And with all of these things happening, of course, there's more and more interaction. Burkina Faso has a military government. So I'm situating what I'm about to ask on that. From where you sit, do you know of any infiltration of insurgents, terrorists, if you like, into our end? And do you feel that is also part of what is fueling the conflict in Bawku?
No. And this is a categorical no in capital letters. In 2020, I traveled from one end of the border in the north to the other end, together with two other people, and wrote a document on a conflict development analysis for the northern region, with specific recommendations to multiple institutions as to what ought to be done to bring this under control. Last, in 2022, I did an even more targeted study for the UNDP. That study, which is, available, is on vulnerabilities to extremism in the 5 northern regions. Extensive travel, probably about 2,500 kilometers over 10 days interviewing people, community leaders, youth, religious leaders, women, visited markets. There was no real sense of fear in any of these communities that I visited. I visited almost all the border regions also. There was no sense of fear, and the report makes it clear. Were there instances where communities felt strangers had come in and were promising goods, were promising social welfare, people that they didn't know, that made them suspicious? Yes. But I think the scale of the challenge is being overblown. And I don't know if people have traveled and put their lives on the line like I have done visiting these villages.
So just to clarify, Professor Aning, it is not that these elements have never infiltrated our system. I mean, we've had conversations on insurgency activities. They may have come. I remember there was a time when you mentioned that maybe some of these terrorist attacks are not happening in Ghana because, of course, they get resources from here.
Sure. And I'm coming to that.
So they have come, but it is not on the scale that some may be putting it. That's what you're saying.
It's a business thing. What do they need? They need explosives. They need to come to the mines, some of the mines, to pick it up. They need detonator quartz. They need high-value resources that they can sell. You know, there are gold mines all over the place, not least in Sindhi, Accra Dollar Power. I will repeat this. We are not looking at this properly because it is easier for us to claim it is Kusasis and Mampuses. It is chieftaincy. It is the youth. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. This latest incident, I think one AK-47 was retrieved. Where did they come from? How do they get it? Where are the leakages coming from? Now, if we also take the last 18 months, and that is where the northern Togo to Bawku, onward to Bolgatanga route is useful. How many of these vehicles have been attacked traveling from Senkase to Kusiga or to Kulungugu onward to Bawku and then to Bolgatanga and other places that have been attacked? My argument still is that the unfortunate people caught between this violence, it's not because of extremists, but it's because of criminal networks seeking to challenge, undermine, expand their territory. Okay? We can put all this into the mix and come up with some solutions. But this tunnel vision of ethnic conflict, of chieftaincy struggles, about land, blah, 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 that won't take us anywhere.
I see. So looking at everything that has happened so far, everything...
No, I didn't say the military infiltration in Bawku is overblown. The extremist infiltration. Now, when you people make these mistakes, you put me into trouble. It's the extremist infiltration that we are talking about. So please, if the man who is typing this has an ulterior motive, it doesn't work with me.
We sincerely apologize. We apologize for that, and it will be sorted out immediately. So sure. Let's look at the military in all of this. I am sure, and if we can project the statement from the Ghana Armed Forces, but while that is made ready, we saw the shooting post the gunning down of 3 people who eventually died, with 5 others who ended up in hospital. After that, the military went to some part of Bawku, in Bawku Central to be specific, and then there was that incident with 3 young men killed by our soldiers, with one making a narrow escape. The member of parliament for that area, Mahama Yariga, said These young men had, just before the curfew, been sitting somewhere. They saw these people coming. One took to his heels. The three others were taken away and gunned down. The military says it was only returning fire, that they were engaged, and that, in fact, they've issued a warning that if you engage them, they will engage you back with fatal consequences. What do you make of that? Because we've also had some history, even in recent years, of military brutalities. But in this end, the back and forth, what do you make of it? And where do you feel, really, the truth lies?
Where the truth lies, I think, if we are being honest, would need a commission of some sort. Because the MP is making very categorical statements. I think the MC has also said something. The GAF has put up a statement also explaining their side of the story. And I think we saw the youth and we heard them also telling their side of the story. But there's a fifth dynamic. There is a WhatsApp so-called report about this incident that creates an extremely disturbing, picture of whatever took place. My assessment right now is that there are way too many stories and too many interest groups interpreting what has taken place for particular ends. So we would need to take a step back very quickly. And I think we have the institutional framework for this, particularly the National Peace Council, to quickly meet all the parties and to ensure that the truth is put out into the public domain. Why am I saying this? Part of the reason is that we cannot have a situation, and as the youth said, that a critical institution's reputation is tarnished in a way that we don't have the evidence for it. And I think I've said this several times, that although the military is guided by the laws of war and proportional use of force, it is crucial that they are not engaged in a provocative manner. Because in all situations, you and I, everyone has a right to life, and every life must be protected. So because the MP is saying something, the MC has said one other thing, the military itself has said something, the youth are saying another thing, and then there's this WhatsApp document going around. We need to get to the truth. And I think tinkering with parts of the truth or the story and putting it out as the whole will create even more trouble. And that has been the bane of the Bawku crisis whenever it blows up. That we pick different aspects of the problem and overblow it to suit our specific narrow purposes. We shouldn't do that this time around, because we are heading towards the tip. And the tip is now very short from a much larger conflagration. So I would suggest, and I think others have said so too, that we need the Peace Council to step in very quickly and to see if we cannot get all parties sitting down, talking, and at least to come out with a narrative that everyone can accept. But right now, as it is, no one knows what the truth is.
I have a quick question for you before I get to the military statement. the different parties we've spoken to, and we'll speak to some of them again, Mahama Yariga, Member of Parliament, Bawku Central, Stephen Yakubu, Upper East Regional Minister, Mr. Zanga, the MCE. I want to believe you've listened to some of the things they have said. And I have also heard some people in the community, Mampusis and Kusasis, reach out to me personally. Someone reached out, sent me a long list, a tall list of things that he feels, if we're done, of course, ousting the politics could help resolve the matter. Do you feel the political elements in all of this are also fueling or fanning the flame, and that they really need to tone down and get their act together, whether MPP or NDC?
Well, I think the unfortunate part of this thing, this Bawku crisis, has been the extreme politicization of the resolution interventions. So if it's Party A that is in power, their approach to resolving the conflict is different from Party B. But the root of the conflict is the same. And therein lies my argument earlier, that when the root of a conflict becomes overlooked, it festers, becomes intractable, then others begin to exploit it for their pecuniary ends. That is what we are seeing in Bawku. So we need to take the politics out of understanding what the problem is, what the intervention options must be, and when there is consensus about the intervention, consensus to pursue that to its legitimate end.
I want you to take a look at this bit from the statement from the Ghana Armed Forces. And I read out, the current streak of violence began on Friday, 12th January 2024. It gives the time with the murder of one Isa Halidu, a 40-year-old Mampusi. The deceased reportedly attempted rustling 4 cattle at Avengo, a Kusasi-dominated settlement, but was pursued by unidentified gunmen and shot in the head and back. Troops dispatched to the scene retrieved 2 7x62 and 39mm live rounds from the deceased person's pocket. On the night of Friday, 12th January and early hours of Saturday, 13th January 2024, sporadic gunshots were heard at news station Daduri and Maziama. On Wednesday, 17th January 2024, about 13:20 hours, unknown gunmen attacked members of the public behind Bawku Divisional Police Station, killing 2 victims and injuring 4 others. Now, we know there were 3 people who actually died and 5 who were in hospital. The deceased victims were of the Mampusi and Moshi tribe, while the other victims with various degrees of injury were of Bisa, Busanga, and Grushi descent. On the same day, at about 20 hours, unknown assailants murdered one Azuma Al-Hassan, a 47-year-old Kusasi professor at Sokabisi, Bolgatanga. This spawned sporadic gunshots at Bawku later in the night. And the last one, which really got me concerned. Furthermore, on Thursday, 18th January, at about 04:30 hours, unknown gunmen hiding in a valley fired at our troops' position at Avengo. In another development, at about 5:30 hours, same day, a Ghana police patrol team spotted 2 locals attempting to light up a rocket-propelled grenade bomb at a Goyle filling station in Bawku. The suspects fled upon sighting the patrol team, leaving behind the bomb. Ghana police retrieved the unexploded ordnance and handed over same for safe custody at the 11th Mechanized Battalion magazine at Bazua. So 1, the trend, look at the days between the 12th and just a short span of days. Look at the number of attacks, incidents, deaths, assaults. That is 1. And 2, now you are talking of people with hand-propelled grenades, among others, bombs, literally. I don't know, but this makes me very uncomfortable. I don't know whether it makes you as uncomfortable, and what do you think, really, or especially in light of arms proliferation as well, Prozaning?
That doesn't make me uncomfortable at all. I mean, this is the natural projection of what I've been talking about for 20 years. And for me, I sound like a broken record when it comes to small arms. My first baseline survey on small arms, focusing on production, leakages, poor stockpile management was in 2004, 2005. We did a subsequent one, I think in 2014 or 2015, for which I was threatened and all sorts of things. Look, this will get worse because you know and I know that if you want to make a borehole and you even go to Accra Central, you can get these boys to sell you things necessary to make the hole. Okay? So this bomb thing or whatever they call it, there is nothing new about it. But my worry really is the manner in which the victims have been identified ethnically. You see, because if a crisis took place in town X, and because we are an integrated state, we are all mixed in wherever we live, would such a statement have said, he's a Gomoa man, he's an Agona, he's a Fante, he's Hausa? I think it's important, particularly because of the sensitivity of what we are talking about, that whilst recognizing our diversities, ethnic diversity, that we also work towards building a united Ghana in which those who commit crimes and the unfortunate victims must not necessarily be identified by their ethnic affiliation.
Your final words, Prof, especially again in respect of the fact that there are a lot of these arms in civilian hands. What do you think should be the way forward? If I may, if you may just give me a little time. You know, I told you of this gentleman who had sent me some profit some solutions. In fact, he sent me 10. He talks about the fact that, and I'm not going to mention his name, awareness raising media dialogue with CSOs, identifying and highlighting commonalities, more a whistleblower program, timely prosecutions. He says so far no one has been jailed. Expose the propaganda and fake news, regulate the local and social media, retrieve arms. Those, for example, that were taken in the Bono East region. What happened to those arms, he asks. He talks about sustained media engagement on Bawku and not just the on and off, oh, now we're talking about it and then we're back. Those who intervene must be impartial to build trust. And then he says we need to set up a youth opportunity center because the youth need alternatives. Instead of exposure to guns, they should be exposed to the Internet of Things. These are some of what I was telling you about, people reaching out to me personally, sharing these with me. What do you think? Those will be the final comments.
No, these are practical, sensible, hands-on, implementable things. They don't cost money. Okay? But we seem to have been locked in a situation where whenever we are suggesting any interventions, we first think about the money instead of the practicality and the impact of what must be done. Let me add one more thing, which I've told the people who matter. We know that there's almost a direct correlation between the dry season, people not having anything to do, and the frequency of violence. But we also know that very little investments in pumps, proper seeds, fertilizer will allow people to engage in dry season farming. Dry season farming is fairly cheap. It provides massive employment. It provides, food that we need during that period, and it gets people engaged. Okay, do we have the boldness, the honesty, the drive to implement some of what your contact has said and what I'm saying now? This dry season farming was top of my recommendation in my last UNDP report. It does not cost money. And this is from the youth themselves who feel they've done it before when it was affordable, but now they can't do it anymore because things have gotten a little bit expensive. It can be done if we are interested and we are committed.
Kwesi Aning, we are immensely grateful for your time with us this morning, and we do hope that at some point we can bring some relief to our brothers and sisters and also forestall any escalation of the conflict to other parts of our dear nation. Thank you, Prof, for joining the conversation.
Thank you very much.
That is Professor Kwesi Aning. He is a security consultant. He provides bespoke services in risk assessment and analysis, as well as forecasting. This has been our conversation this morning on the latest Bawku escalation. But stay with us. When we return after the break, we bring you more on that threat of industrial action among the teachers' unions at the tertiary level. There has been an uptick in that development. We'll bring you more as we engage the stakeholders. We'll be right back on the AM Show. Welcome back. Now, as promised, I was speaking about UTAG and TUTAG and what they have had. But on the other end, the senior staff associations of these institutions are also saying, well, they're not happy with some developments. So joining us with details of that conversation, we have Isaac Donko. He is National Chairman, Senior Staff Association of Ghana. He joins the conversation. Mr. Donko, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, my brother.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
On the back of hearing about university teachers, technical university teachers as well, now we have you, the Senior Staff Association, and you've already started some form of industrial action. To set the ball rolling, to give context to the conversation, why exactly? What are the things that have led you to this point?
Okay, thank you, my brother. I think, first of all, I have to state here that it is just unfortunate that we've gotten to this far. We shouldn't have been here by this time. This particular strike is a strike which should have been avoided by government. But government has its own way of dealing with situations. You prompt them, you give them the red light, but they just go to sleep. Basically, we are demanding for two things. Two, our tier 2 pension is in arrest, and we are asking the state to release our pension fund, to our fund managers, because government is not our fund manager. The responsibility of government is to deduct our tier 2 pension. Then afterwards, government is supposed to forward it to our fund managers. So why is it that government is now turning itself into a fund manager? Where are you going to invest those funds? Similar thing happened in 2010 to 2016. Government kept those monies for 6 good years. We have to chase. And there are regulations or rules everywhere. The Pension Act is very simple. When you default for 1 month, you have to pay 3% penalty. For 6 years, they have to pay the penalty. They refuse to pay. We chase them. When they were about to pay, they use a method which is contrary to the Pensions Act. Instead of them using the 3% penalty, they use simple interest. And we lost a lot of money then. So now we are asking them to go back and do proper calculation on those years, the 2010 to 2016. They should do the appropriate recalculation on it. Then currently, between the months of February to December 2023, government also refused to pay. And we also demanding for immediate payments as well as 8 appropriate 3% penalty. Because of this, most of our pensioners who retired between the years of 2020 to 2023 are yet to receive their full lump sum. So with immediate effect, we're also asking them to be paid before we call off our strike. Then lastly, we mostly deal with our conditions of service, and we have a contract with government, which was signed between the two parties, labor and government. And to our ultimate surprise, government through fair wages and GTEC wrote to university management cancelling our overtime allowance without our notice. And our members are shocked. The leadership is shocked. As at the moment, some schools have started deducting the overtime which was paid to our members way back last year. And this is an unfortunate situation. So these are the main reasons why we are on strike. So we are just asking fair wages and GTEC to withdraw that letter that they wrote to our management in various university campuses.
Right. Did I hear you say that you were asking for the release of your pension funds, and that government, of course, they take it and they have to roll it on to the fund managers? How long has this been that government has held on to this money?
It's almost 10 months now.
Do you know why government is holding on to the money?
This has been the practice by government. As I said before, between 2010 to 2016, government did similar thing. For 6 good years, government was not releasing the money to our fund managers. And that also resulted in another industrial strike action. And this year, we don't want to wait till 6 years before you strike, because we've seen some before. We don't want history to repeat itself. And government is not our fund manager. Our pension fund is not for credit. Nobody should credit our pension fund. Our pension fund is our blood and our future. Our pensioners who retired between 2020 to 2023 are home crying. Where is our pension money? Where is it? Government should do well and release it. They are not our fund managers. Please.
Are you then exhibiting fear that your pension funds could be squandered?
I don't want to choose words for government. This question will be best answered by government official.
No, but let's face it, Mr. Donko. If you're concerned about the funds being in the hands of government, then you must have some concerns about how they are likely to use, expend, manage those sums of money, right?
Yes. Yes, my brother, when you read the Pensions Act at 766 section 64, it is stated there, do the deduction as employer, whether government or private. Then after deduction, give it to the fund manager. So the big question is government our fund manager? The answer is no. So if you are not our fund manager, why are you still keeping our money? Are you going to invest it on our behalf? You can't do it. So when you keep on delaying these funds, what happens to our funds? So maybe somebody is just deliberately doing that, but we are sorry. The fellow in charge should own up and release the funds.
Which entities have you spoken to on this? I know you've also had interactions with the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Just the other day, I was interacting with Benjamin Arthur, Engineer Arthur. But which state entities have you interacted with on this matter to find out where exactly your money is and why it's not being released? Whom have you spoken to?
Mostly these funds are managed by the Minister for Employment and Labor Relations. And we've been writing to them. You write to them and they don't even acknowledge receipt of your write-ups. So we are handicapped. We don't have any other option than to lay down our tools. This case is also before the National Labour Commission somewhere last year. They were given some directives 1 month to address it. They couldn't meet it. So now we are still handicapped and you don't have any other option than to sit down and wait for them. When they release the funds, you come back to work.
When was the last time you wrote to the Ministry for Employment, Labor Relations? When was the last time you say persistently you send them letters and they do not respond? When was the last time?
The last letter was just this month. before you strike, we give them sermons. We give them notice that we are giving them up to 15th of January. If they don't respond, we are going to lay down our tools. And you didn't hear anything from them.
So since the 17th, you've not been working, right? All of you.
Very well.
What is the size of your membership, Mr. Donko?
We are almost 12,000.
12,000.
We are talking about all the public universities in Ghana. We have about 16 or 15 public universities in Ghana.
So you number about 12,000. Does that include the members of, because I know there's the Senior Staff Association Universities of Ghana, and there's the Federation of Senior Staff Association of Ghana. Are you adding both members, or there's a separation somewhere?
No, we are adding up.
You're adding up.
This is a joint strike. It's a joint strike, so both parties are involved.
Right. And then I also see that you've been reacting not just to the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, but GTEC as well, based on some call for the cancellation of payment of overtime allowance for weekend and holiday work. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, my brother, if you read the Labor Act, it is simple. If you engage my services on weekends or public holidays, you give me double pay. When you go to our conditions of service, as I said, that was signed between the labor, the union, and government, led by Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Both parties agreed that senior staff should do overtime. Now, this document has been signed, and you want to alter this document. You don't draw my attention. You just write to my management that don't pay me overtime. Who will accept this?
So let's backtrack. Let's backtrack just a bit. This document was signed that you guys, all of you, the senior staff, you would do overtime. Did that come with the fact that overtime would attract double salary, or for that particular period? Did that come with that? The document you signed?
Exactly.
Okay. And now they've written to your employer to say that you shouldn't be paid for that. You, the staff, you shouldn't be paid for your overtime work. Basically, that's how long has this been? When did this counter letter come through?
The letter came, I think, 20th November 2023.
I see. Do you feel all of these are happening as well because of the economic situation of the country? And that maybe there are simply no funds to meet the demands that your outfit is making?
It could be a factor, it could be true, it could also be false. It could be false in the sense that I think somebody is trying to show up. Somebody is trying to show that he is in charge. Somebody is trying to test the waters and see whether he can do something positive for himself or to show that his office work is working.
Who could this somebody be?
I think these letters are mostly written by GTEC, so I'm making reference to GTEC.
Do you have any basis for saying that? Is it merely because these letters are written by them that you feel there may be some power play going on?
If you know you have a contract with you and you want to alter the contract, what do? You have to invite the parties involved. Sit us down. Oh, my brothers and sisters, these are the challenges. So henceforth, we are pleading that overtime allowance shouldn't be paid this way, but rather this way. But you don't sit at your corner, your office, then you pick a pen and paper, you construct something on it, and you separate it. We, the senior staff in public universities, we will never going to allow anybody to tamper with our conditions of service. That will never happen in Ghana here.
Tell me, there is this thing that is spoken of every now and then, and of course you mentioned that this situation, even as far as 2013 thereabouts, you had faced a certain similar situations. But sometimes it is said that in some parts of the public service, money meant for some public servants will be sat on by somebody or some group of people, and they may invest the money, make profit before certain payments that are meant to be made are made. Is this something you're aware of? Do you suspect that some of that could be going on with the money belonging genuinely to the Senior Staff Association members?
That one I doubt. I don't think so. I don't think so.
So tell me, with all of what is happening, your strike is indefinite. Have there been any interactions so far between your outfit, together with the Federation? So when I say your outfit, the two of you, and those on the other side, whether it's the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, whether it's the Ministry for Employment or anything. Have you had any discussions since the 17th of this month?
Thank you, my brother. Yes, first of all, Labour Commission summoned us last week, Thursday. Unfortunately, the time we received their letter, we also had a scheduled meeting, next meeting, emergency meeting in Tamale. So you couldn't honor the invitation. But we wrote back to them requesting for extension of time. So we requested that they should allow us to meet them coming Wednesday, that's 24th of this month. That is one. Two, I've received some call from Labour, Ministry of Labour and Employment, that 1 month has been paid. If we are not requesting for 1 month, and the 1 month was also paid without the interest, and our demands are stated there, so they should go by what is stated on paper. We are requesting that all the money should be paid in full. Then they should pay the appropriate penalties per month. Each month, we are requesting for 3% penalty against the defaultment. This is not our personal request, but we are using the Pensions Act to speak. Then, moving forward, Fair Wages are also saying that the letter is in bad taste. They are going to withdraw the letter and allow us to do our overtime. So I think for the overtime aspect, we are getting somewhere. But on the issue of the tier 2, 1 month is not enough. And that 1 month was also paid without interest. And we're also talking about the recalculation of accrued interest in 2010 to 2016. So we have a series of issues which should be handled step by step.
Now, I'll go back to the point I made earlier about where our country finds itself in terms of finances, okay? You're making quite a number of demands. Realistically, do you feel they are demands that can be met in the immediate term in terms of all of these? Well, you have to pay this and you have to pay whatever interest upon it for the entire period and all of that. Is it realistic?
My brother, sorry. Nigerian man will say that, now who calls him? Your duty, according to the law, is to do the deduction from my salary. This is not extra money that you are giving to me. Part of my salary should be taken away and kept for my future use. That is your duty as employer or government. For that one, you don't default. Every month, you do the deduction. The next one is to release the funds every month monthly to the fund administrators. And that one, you can't do it. This money shouldn't be part of government chest. So why are you keeping the money in government chest? Are you investing the money? Are you using the money for extra activities? So this is money which has been kept for us for a very long time. And you don't expect that they will say that they don't have money. Because we are not requesting for extra money from any government official. It's our own money that has been deducted from our salaries. So give it to us. Just push it from one account to our fund manager's account. As simple as ABC. And the penalty that we are requesting for, if the money had been released earlier, the fund managers would have also invested the money and get the appropriate interest or reward on those monies. So for the penalty, we are going to take it.
All right. So you are unflinching. You are unbending on that point. As for the penalties, they must be paid. Else there will be no agreement, right?
Exactly.
Tell me, you also know the impact this is having on the university communities. You have withdrawn several services, including, but not limited to, the processing of student admissions and graduations. And of course, we know there's a fresh intake of students medical services, security, dental care, laboratory facilities, hostel accommodation, mortuary services, laborers, cleaners, maintenance, estate management. This practically means these institutions will come to a grinding halt. Are you also considering what the impact of your actions will be? And mind you, I'm only asking these questions because I must cover certain bases, okay? It is not to say that I do not grasp where you are coming from or what you are calling for. But are you taking stock of all of this and what the impact will be for as long as you are away?
My brother, we 100% aware of the impact that our action will bring to the university. Mind you, we are also parents. We take care of our children, and we're supposed to pay school fees, supposed to pay student accommodation, and we know student accommodation nowadays is another topic on its own. Your accommodation fee is even more than your school fees. You have to buy books, give the pocket money. So if you're a parent and you are handicapped, if you're a parent and you are on pension, and you are expecting your pension lump sum to come and it is not forthcoming, how do you even send your child to school? If you're a parent and you've done overtime, it has been paid. And before you realize, the money that has been paid and you've spent already is taken away from your salary as money that you own. Then what happens to you? How happy will you be to go to work and work? How can you also send your child to school? So the impact is there, but the impact on us is even more severe than the impact that the institutions are going to bear. So at the moment, you don't have any other choice. As I said, we've given them series of warnings. The writings were just there, the warning signs were there, but they didn't respect us. I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to respect each other. So if you fail to respect me, how do I also respect you back? I can't do that. So every employer's role in the development of Ghana is very important, and you have to take note of that.
Any final words, Mr. Donko? I believe we've exhausted all the critical angles we would have wanted to look at. Any final words?
The final word I can say is that our members should calm down. They should take it cool. They should be at home. They should rest for now. To our students, we are very sorry. We hope and pray that the government will soon come to the table and resolve this issue. The moment the issues are resolved, we will come back to work and serve them. Thank you very much, my brother, for your time.
Thank you too for joining the conversation. Isaac Donko is chairman, national chairman, Senior Staff Association, Universities of Ghana. He was also speaking because this is a joint effort for the Federation of Senior Staff Association Ghana. Thank you so much. Now, moving on from there, we talk about another crucial aspect of our national life, elections, which often are characterized in some minute ways with electoral violence. This morning, we're going to be contemplating, as we look forward to the latest primaries that are on the cards, the MPP's parliamentary primaries, as well as the bigger picture of election 2024, both on the parliamentary stage and the presidential stage. How do we forestall electoral violence? My guest on this beat, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong, Executive Director, Alliance for Christian Advocacy, Africa. He joins me in the next few minutes after the break so that we look at how to maintain peace before, during, and after election 2024, among other things. We'll be right back. Welcome back on the AM show. We talk about electoral violence and how to forestall same ahead of election 2024, but also in the course of the inter-party elections that are going to be held. We know that the MPP's parliamentary primaries are going to be conducted on the 27th day of this month, come Saturday. Well, joining us for a conversation on these and other pertinent issues, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong. He's Executive Director, Alliance for Christian Advocacy, Africa. Rev, good morning. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Pleasure.
It's been just a few days since we last spoke on some broader matters. But when you look at electoral violence, I can still remember some of the captions from the foreign media in the last election, and we'll get to some of them. But President Akufo-Addo wins second term, 5 people killed, if you remember, the Techiman issue, among others. And over time, as the Fourth Republic has grown, it appears that aspect of elections, electoral violence, has also grown along with it. Maybe it's because of the polarization. Maybe it's because of the political parties. No one knows. But I'd like to find out from you, for starters, why and how do you think we've got here in terms of electoral violence?
Ben, let me say good morning to you and your cherished viewers, and thank you for the opportunity. Now, the issue you have raised, and this is a work we have done, that the organization you mentioned, Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa, is a team of pastors and university lecturers in this country, some in Angola and other Africa countries. Now we have come together and see how we can bring our faith perspectives on national life, public policies, and public issues. And major one is election. Now we've taken time to study the reports of the past 8 elections that we've had as a nation under the Fourth Republic. And like you said, European Union report, both local and international report, they will all congratulate us as a country that we've done very well. Then you have a paragraph that starts, unfortunately, then they state the number of deaths. The 8 elections, each one of them has that component of, unfortunately, then the number of deaths. And even the painful side is about elections, that even there are instances where by-elections have also recorded death.
We remember Ayawaso West Wogo and the carnage.
And now that brings us to the question you are raising, that what is fueling? Election has become kind of business. Governance, politics have become business. Now people put money in there and therefore they behave like any business person who is protecting his or her investment. But above all, it seems to me we as a country, Ghanaians, have not come to a point that election is a process of identifying leaders. Leadership is service. And therefore, the search for a leader should not end in the death of innocent people, to the point that our Ghanaian soil must not drink the blood of innocent people in the name of election. It seems that realization has not come to us strongly, that the Ghanaian soil must not drink the blood of the innocent during the election. So we record the death and it's like, oh, it's nothing. But we can't continue like that. And those who are involved, all of our stakeholders, must come to a point and maybe commit to zero tolerance of electoral violence, especially electoral death.
I see. Zero tolerance. Is that realistic? I mean, even in advanced democracies, and it's a negative example, but even in the United States, one of the beacons of democracy across the world, you saw what happened in the last election, and President Trump refusing to admit the assault on the Capitol, and now some of those people have been jailed. You're fully aware of that. So even in such advanced democracies, you see this. You see in France recently the protests against Macron and people, pretty violent.
You see, that's part of democracy. I like how the US example you cited, that they've been judged. The past election, we recorded 8 deaths. Where have we reached? We are getting ready for another election. And we are trusting that God will save us, else we may still record, and that's why God forbid. So you look at how they handle this and how we handle ours. That's where you get the difference. So yes, that every contest comes with some level of tension. So yes, I agree with you, But that tension should not lead to this regular reports of death that we have had 8 elections. And each one of them, you have this reality of electoral violence to the point of electoral death. Now that is the issue we are raising, that must stop somewhere. The campaign tension and all those things must happen, but it should not lead to the point where our soil is drinking innocent blood. We've had enough of that. At least, even if some people are having it, as Black Star of Africa, we must tell a better story.
Of course, I know when it comes to the key stakeholders in this, you will talk about the Electoral Commission, you will talk about the political parties, among other entities. Apart from these, which other entities would you call on? And I want you to address for each one what you think should be done. Enumerate what you think should be done to ensure that we can avert such situations, because one life lost is one life too many. Somebody maimed, they may never be able to recover and do what they used to. I remember there was this gentleman who, at one point, I think a demonstration, his eye, way back, I think that gentleman lost his life after a number of years. The last time there was another one around the Obra Sport Circle, another gentleman, similar situation, eye almost gouged out. I don't know what happened to him, but if you look at how that was, obviously this person is going to be scarred for life. So with all these groupings, what would you say you are holding them to, even before we get to the research you've been doing in the sub-region?
At least for the sake of time, let me touch on traditional leaders and faith-based organization leaders. Now, very soon, and we've started this campaign, and thank you so much, AM Show and Multimedia, that giving us the platform. And we need more moving forward. We started this campaign very early. They will be going out now. They are all waiting to pick the 2 major, they are running mates and then members of parliament. Now, whenever they move into community, normally the first point of call, likely the palace. Over the years, not all of them, unfortunately, when they go and they carry their gifts and other things, you get some of our traditional leaders, me and my people will vote for you 80% and whatever percentage. Let the traditional leaders commit themselves to the zero tolerance of death of their citizens. Welcome them, receive their gifts, pray for them, but tell them that as you campaign in my community, assure me that not a single soul of my young people or the people in my community will die because they love you, they support you, they want to follow you. I will want to see a situation where traditional leaders who welcome either members of parliament or presidential candidate or whoever will say everything they want to say, and let them also commit themselves that we value life, we cherish your people, because we are here for development. You destroy the lives of the people and you develop the community for who? So my first point of call will be traditional leaders, that 2024, please, Nanano, welcome them. They are your own, but let them commit in your presence that protect my people, protect my young people. They love you, they will follow you, but guarantee me, that you will send 100% out. You will bring my 100% back home. The next group, that is where I belong. Ministers of the gospel, and then also Muslims and others. These people sit in front of us, the politicians, members of parliament, presidential, and they all come to us for prayers. They come to churches and introduce themselves to us and tell us how they must lead us. No problem about that. Of course, they also come and they give gifts to the churches. I pray and hope that church leaders, imams, those who come to either church or mosque, welcome them, be a unifying factor, let them feel that they belong. But after all your prayers, tell them that the young people who will follow you are members in our churches and our mosques. Please, as they follow you, make sure you bring them back, not maimed. with their eyes, like the examples you cited. Let them come back after the elections with the fullness, their eyes, their nose, and their lives. Don't let them, after my prayer for you, make sure that the young people who follow you, or members in our churches, in our mosques, that will follow you, either at the polling station, collation centers, wherever, bring them back safely. So faith-based organization leaders, because of the regular interaction, engagement we have with them, and traditional leaders must play leading role in this effort we are embarking on.
You've mentioned traditional leaders or rulers, faith-based rulers, but how do you look at their political rhetoric? And sometimes you would have traditional leaders. You know what the Constitution says about being a traditional ruler and openly speaking about partisan politics. It's not that they cannot participate in partisan politics in terms of exercising the franchise and all of that, but openly doing so, especially because of the crucial role they play. And same for religious leaders, Christian, Muslim, and it goes on and on. But some pastors too, some preachers have turned their pulpits into political platforms. And sometimes when some people come through, it is clear where X may be or where Y may be. I don't even know how they're able to handle that as far as their congregations are concerned, because I don't think anyone could have a congregation that is all MPP or a congregation that is all NDC. But taking it from that angle, how about the rhetoric, the lack of control sometimes when it comes to what they say?
Yeah, now go back to your opening remarks. That why is this thing not going away? They will say President Akufo-Addo has won, but then they add the number of deaths. Why is it not going away? And I said there are other key stakeholders that have not committed themselves to their roles. Peaceful and credible elections are collective responsibilities. We all want to look up to the security agencies, electoral commission, sometimes want to accuse media and others. But if you are a traditional leader, you command certain level of respect, the same like our church leaders. And you are there for everybody. You are supposed to protect the people, the land, and property, everything, before even the politicians get to your communities. And this is where we, faith-based leaders and our traditional leaders, it seems to me, have not come to that realization that it's not enough saying that I have prayed for you, I want you to succeed. But before the arrival of the politician, you were leading a group of people, young people, farmers, men, women, elderly people. So let them know that I cherish, I have been here to protect these people. That is why you came to meet us. Leave us in peace, not in pieces. Unfortunately, again, like you said, some of our traditional leaders and church leaders as well, these people, and they are politicians, they made investment. So it's not for them, it's not a joke, it's not a game. And they want to control everybody, including traditional leaders, including church leaders. It's a strategy our politicians are embarking on. If you are a faith-based leader and you miss that, you are in trouble. Sometimes even they play the game with gifts. Certain public servants are not supposed to take gifts, but traditional leaders and pastors, we are free to take gifts. But for you, it's a gift. Some of them is a manipulative strategy. They want partnership of convenience, you see. So the more they come to you and they think you have received their gift, therefore you are with them, you are part of them.
Have you ever been in such situations?
Oh, I've managed Christian Council of Ghana for a number of years. And so I understand how we play the game. I have been into many of these sensitive gifts, places and meetings and all that. And my strategy was, you come to Christian Council, you drop envelope. I'll call my director of finance and the others, take this envelope, count whatever is inside, issue receipt in the name of whatever. We add letter of appreciation and send to you, so if we did not do this, you shouldn't have done this. I said, you came to me as Christian Council General Secretary. So I have had instances of that. But it's a strategy. We must know. And they want partnership of convenience. What it means is they prefer that you don't bring, their dirty stuff in public. So they insist, let's have behind the scene engagement. And now many pastors are falling into that trap. Over the years, we have done both private engagement and public engagement. At the moment, for the other day, you asked me the question. You realize that the churches are going, more of private. You ask them, we are doing private engagement with them. It's good, but you do private engagement, you must do public engagement. We are representative voices. Your church members want to know what you are doing. Ghanaians want to know. So you can't go behind the scene, have meetings, and then we come to public and the voices of the churches years ago. By now you find Dr. Bwaji Mensah, Reverend Professor Asante, and many more voices, Bishop Amabako, Bishop Osebonsu, all flooding the atmosphere. Now churches are becoming more quiet, and you ask them, so we are doing private engagement. Yes, we do private engagement, but make sure their gifts and whatever doesn't, those things don't take away our prophetic voices. And sometimes you realize these politicians are getting bigger space in this area, and some traditional leaders are also falling into the trap of a partnership of convenience. Or if you need anything, call us. You don't need to say this kind of thing. We must meet them in private. We must equally meet them in public. The kind of politicians we are dealing with, private engagement should not be enough for us.
Now that policy institute based in London, I'm talking about Chatham House. I'm looking at one of their documents. And of course, you know that when you're having a conversation like this, electoral violence, you must look at the very bedrock, the very things that, spawn electoral violence. You could look at political party vigilantism. Now we have a vigilante act, a law on that. And that was on the back of Ayawaso West Wuogon and everything that happened in that by-election. You remember clearly. There's also the issue of the Electoral Commission and the compilation of a voters register. You would notice that usually is a source of rancor per research and the actions of the EC itself. You sit on that eminent group within the Electoral Commission. How do you address these two angles? Because one, while we have that law on political party vigilantism, we still see that some things may be going on, and whether to call it vigilantism or not becomes a tricky affair. We don't want anything in election 2024. So what is your reading on these two matters? How do we go with them?
Yeah, Ben, maybe we'll have a long-term and then a short-term, medium-term approach to this question. The long-term is a constitutional issue. You finish election and you give everything into one person, for one person to decide whether your road will be fixed or not.
You mean the president?
Yes. It's something we need to address. That now, if you're able to fight and crush everything and everybody and becomes the president of Ghana, you decide who can be appointed and not be appointed, and you decide, until recently, even all bills going to Parliament, and so our Constitution has given too much power to parties and presidents. And therefore, that is fueling what they call winner takes all. That's fueling the tension in our electoral system.
So you feel the concentration of power is a concern. Are you for altering the constitution?
Oh, sure. In fact, we have been discussing this how many times. IEA and you see, and Professor Michael Quay himself, former Speaker of Parliament, and many more, like the former Chief Justice Sophia, and many more. You realize that, how can you have a constitution that's so discriminatory that a group of people can have certain end of service benefits and all that, and others are now fighting? Your earlier conversation with
Senior Staff Association,
I'm a university teacher, so the strike also affects me. That somebody tells you that even the deduction government has made, they have not paid to the pension fund and administrators and all that. But somebody knows that at the end of 4 years, I have something that I'm going, and this is being protected by the constitution of the country in the name of Article 71. And some of these things must be addressed. But back to the issue, immediately, these are constitutional things that may take a long time. Immediately, what we need to appreciate is that, the other day you mentioned it, people are putting monies into elections that are loans, that some sell their houses, and so election has become life and death. You go into election, and it's either you win or lose. In election, it's not a football that there can be draw. But now that key electoral mindset that in election I can win or lose is not in our electoral language. I'm going to win, and we will win at all costs. That is the problem. And they talk like that, not that they have that sense of patriotism. They love Ghana so much. They are protecting their investment. Election in Ghana, politics in Ghana has become business.
And especially, I want to go back, the Electoral Commission. Their role is crucial, maybe the most crucial apart from the political parties. You've heard of everything that has been said in recent times. We've discussed some of them, even the non-use of the indelible ink, biometric verification and all of that. Are we on the right course?
If right means we've solved all the problems, then I'll say no. But if right means that we've done enough to guarantee credible election in Ghana, I would say yes. Years ago, we had ballot boxes that you could not see what was going inside.
That's as far back as 1990.
We solved that.
293, thereabouts.
We've been able to solve that problem. Years ago, the multiple registration, now because of Ghana Card and others, it's not the best, but it's not as easy as those days, that we had nothing to control. So there are so many things, the biometric we have done. To me, if the key stakeholders, the political parties, want to commit themselves to patriotism, love of this country, because EC cannot bus under 18. In fact, I ran a workshop in part of Central Region, and some JSS children told us that their mother asked her, go and register so that we'll get money. And the child was able to tell, Mom, I won't do it. But there was a politician who had gathered parents, giving them money that they should bring their children under 18 to register. Now look at what you've done to the child. If you come to the university, information you give at the entry point is very difficult to change. So if you are 16 and you come to the university and you say 18, fine. But it's very difficult. So you carry that. And because somebody wants to win an election, you destroy the future of a child. So we are yet to have the commitment. EC can do virtually nothing if the political parties want to commit themselves to patriotism, because they bring, whether double registration or registration of minors. EC can never do it. It is the political parties. And all of us who must keep eyes. I have people, we go around monitoring election. EC, that's if they try, the people will beat them. The other day, there was this EC person who was helping a blind person or something. And then he went to, put the wrong place where the person, and they wanted to lynch him. You see, because their people will be there, the party people will be there. So the commitment we need now is more from the political parties rather than EC. Even though, for instance, the indelible thing you mentioned, I will pray and hope that yes, EC may have good intention, but they should not deal with those who attend IPAC meeting, that we have finished with them, so we'll do it. Let them discuss with ordinary Ghanaians. Why now we don't want to use indelible ink? Because of what? Make sure you carry the nation along. But if you think we've talked to the elite class, we are done with them, we have done some consultation, even those people, how they play the game. They know I know what We'll go to the IPAC meeting. Sometimes even you think they have agreed, if understood, they come out of the meeting and the way they address the issue, then quietly you go to them. I was in the meeting with you, and they said these are psychological warfare.
It's political talk.
Yeah. So they may even agree with you. When you bring them here, they will give impression to Ghanaians that they've heard not all of them. That's how they play the game.
Okay. Now, to cap off the conversation, I want us to look at, you have this book here.
Yes.
And it also encapsulates some work that you, together with other lecturers, people of the cloth, have put together on what exactly? Because it also reflects on the conversation we're having.
Yes, we call it public theology in Ghana, but simply put, it's how do you bring faith perspectives on national issues, on governance, public policy, what we are doing now. And one area, that's the chapter 11 of this book, is on elections. And we studied the various reports that under the Fourth Republic have been, including the EC's report on their website, Ghana Police Service, European Union, CODEO, and others. And cheating, and electoral cheating. It's not like one party. They all cheat. NPP, NDC, they cheat. And Ghanaians should never assume that we have angels somewhere. And maybe here back to the EC issue that we're discussing, if we close our eyes, we go to bed and leave them, NDC will cheat. And this is how they cheat. If you go to their, what they call stronghold, and you hear them complaining, for instance, if I go to, just for purpose of conversation, say, Ketu South, and NPP is crying, come and see what they are doing to our people. They are beating us. They are not allowing us. The very thing NPP is complaining about at Ketu South, go to Nishiais, go to Pantama. They are doing the exact thing there. This is how they play the game. They are all manipulating the system. But it's like thief man. When one person feels that the other is thieving too much, then if you give them platform, they will come and shout and jump. It's not fair, it's not credible. But I can guarantee you, they are doing the same thing. They are all thieves when it comes to election. And we need credibility. We need respect. Please come to leadership on a clean sheet. Don't come on the back of, and that is why some of them come to office. They are not able to perform the promises they give. The manipulation in the system, cheating, and then the violence we talk about. And then there's another form of even violence we may want to address, if not today, another time. Is the spiritual violence, where now party people will curse themselves. And they curse people who collect money to vote for them. That if you don't vote for me after collecting money, so and so should happen to you. Why? A country, church, everywhere, classroom, hotel, everywhere church. You get church people coming into leadership and calling spirits and deities cursing people. You see, so you read the report, and European Union is recording all this cheating and manipulation, and even diabo that has become
curses, the invocation of deities and curses.
These are entering into the textbooks.
Okay. The very final thing I'll look at, since all of this also borders on leadership, and specifically because he spoke about having an all-powerful presidency, which sometimes devolves into what we're having. This is a bit away from the point, but in light of servant leadership, have you heard the president's comments on Ekumfi in recent times?
That can only be possible because of the constitution we have as a country. It's a typical example. He said it. I have watched it how many times? It's all over.
I was left in shock. When I saw it the first time, I thought it was fake news.
No, we shouldn't be shocked. That is, you see, in the time our budget is going to Parliament, it's what the president wants to do. So if the president is not prepared to construct the road in your hometown It will not find its way into the budget. And here it's fine. It's recently that the president openly has said that. But that is all they do. You didn't vote for me. We will not do your road. We will not do X, Y, Z. I will not pick certain people from your area because you don't vote for us. You know, and in this kind of thing, it is being sustained by the Constitution. Elsewhere, I mean, when you do local contribution taxes, you use it to develop the community. You do mining communities, mining, you use the royalties and others to develop. Now we go to mining communities and it's a sorry state. You collect money from rural areas, they bring it to Accra and somebody get a new V8. And you go to the area, the market, the sanitation in the market. All because we have put every power, everything, key decision in the hands of one person. And so if you give him impression that you voted or you did not vote for me, you like me or you don't vote for me, he has also call it the right and power to say, I will not fix, I put my, and then he added that I must be honest. He said you want to be honest. It shouldn't be. But it is not so much the fault of the president, it's the constitution of the country. If we have a constitution that devolves power and influence, maybe he wouldn't have been able to make that decision that you didn't vote for me, so I won't develop your community. But now that is what is happening. It's a constitutional, a structural thing that must be addressed, but maybe we have a long way to go. And they all, you see, when Professor Mills called for constitutional review, the white paper, President Mahama had been in office.
Yes, that's true.
When NDC people are talking,
he's now going about saying, "Oh, you see, and if I," but the question is, when he was in power, he continued after that. What happened to the white paper?
Somebody needs to ask him. You know, when they give impression, when I come, I will not do this, I will do that. Somebody needs to. The white paper was in process when you were in the office, and now MPP is about to end 8 years. I wouldn't be surprised. We are yet to hear what Vice President Bawumia is coming. I wouldn't be surprised that he also be calling for some of these constitutional reviews. But they have been in office 8 years. But they will still come and tell us stories. And they must be very careful the kind of promises they are giving to Ghana because we will hold them accountable.
Thank you so much, Rev, for joining us for, what would we call this? I don't take coffee, so maybe for cocoa this morning on the AM show. And we're hoping that with all of these conversations we're having, these interactions, hopefully it will lead to no violence in election 2024, or if any at all, minimal violence, so that we can save our lives.
Zero tolerance to electoral death. Every Ghanaian in your bedroom, write it somewhere. Zero tolerance for electoral death election 2024. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. And this has been a conversation on electoral violence and how to curb it ahead of election 2024. My guest, Reverend Dr. Kwabena Opuni-Frimpong. He is Executive Director, Alliance for Christian Advocacy Africa. He joined the conversation. Well, stay with us. We have more coming your way from the Ghana Statistical Service. Up next on the AM show.
Welcome back on the AM show. It's time now for us to focus on science, technology, education, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which has become pivotal in the quest for Ghana's development. To put a fine point on it, the Ghana Education Service recently has been promoting STEM education. And so in a studio now, we have the founder of GSTEM, that is Ghana Science and Technology Engineering Exploring Challenge, to have a conversation. Madam Constance Ajimang, you're welcome. Thank you. Before we got on, I was saying how proud I am that you're doing this for the country, because STEM is very pivotal in our quest for development. And so let's start the conversation. Tell us a little bit about GSTEM. What is GSTEP and what do you do as GSTEP?
Okay. So GSTEP is the Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize, and we work with junior high school students to identify issues in their community and then to develop STEM products and services that they think will address those problems. But they do it by way of developing an idea, plan, being selected as finalists. So this year we have 100 finalist teams from the Greater Accra, Ashanti and Eastern Region. They then get selected and brought together for induction events where they are matched with mentors and coaches. They are given tools and resources so that they are able to take that idea that they gave us and actually make it real. So they spend some time actually creating prototypes of their products and then testing those. They come and pitch them to the judges because we want them to build not only the scientific skills and the engineering and maths, but also the entrepreneurial skills by pitching to the judges, telling us about their business plan. They have to tell us about how they've built the product, what their cost is going to be, who the audiences they're going to sell. So we want to give them a whole experience of what it is to bring a STEM product to the market for community.
How do you think the Ghanaian community has been receiving this so far? Is this this is the third time you're doing this challenge? How has it been so far?
The reception has been wonderful.
Okay.
We need to be able to get more partners and investors so that we can take it to more regions because the appetite has been so huge for it. And when people see the real value of what we're doing, that it's not just a competition that we say, oh, enter and then you win and that's it, that we're actually taking young people through a practical learning experience, that makes STEM really a reality to them. They can see how it affects the community. They also have industry visits that they go on so that they can go to people's businesses, go to different academic institutions, so that it starts to get them thinking, oh, this is something that I can do, or this is something that I now understand how this organization or industry works a little bit more. All of it is about bringing their learning and bringing their experience to stoke their enthusiasm for this.
How easy or difficult is it to work with between 6 to 11 or 11 to 16
11
year
to
old
16
children?
Yes. 11 to 16.
How is that experience? Is it easy?
It's actually really wonderful. They give me so much fire. They are just like, they want to soak up this information.
Yeah.
The way that we work with that age group is because that's before they start making some of the really pivotal decisions about how they're going to continue to go to school, or whether they're going to want to go to university, or what type of employment they want to do. So when you immerse them in all these different types of opportunities and they can see that they can take STEM and they can either go down a scientific route, a technology route, engineering, maths. They understand now, oh, I get what I can do with this. It's not just about the academics of it, it's also about the practical experience of it. And those two things are very powerful together for those young people. So they're a joy. They're a joy to work with.
Okay, so are your competitors or the exhibitors, are they only from schools or individuals who also qualify can enter in the program?
It's only for schools with teams of up to 6 young people.
Okay.
So youth groups, other youth groups can apply, but it's a team effort. So the reason why we make it a team effort is because we also want them to develop team working skills, communications, roles and responsibilities, so that they understand that it's about actually sharing responsibilities among themselves, drawing on each other's strengths as a team. So all those teams, 100 teams, are going to exhibit at the International Conference Center on the 24th and 25th of January.
Okay.
So this Wednesday and Thursday, it's coming up so fast.
Okay.
But they basically have industry standard exhibition stands.
Okay.
So when you go, expect to be wowed by that. They have their prototypes on display. They create all sorts of branding.
They create
and
the prototypes themselves?
Yes, absolutely.
With their hands?
Yes, absolutely.
With the help of mentors?
So mentors and coaches are there to guide them.
Okay.
The coaches give them technical support around the scientific and technical principles. The mentors give them the entrepreneurial and business support. But it's the young people that create that. They are the ones that get their hands on. So to prove that when they have finished building their prototypes, they come and pitch it to judges. So they have to come and explain how they built it. They have to demonstrate it to show that it's working. They have to tell you what the business aspect of it is, all of those things. And they're really flourishing from that because the way they can explain those scientific principles, their understanding of STEM far exceeds mine most of the time.
So you're not lacking behind it. Can you share some success stories with us? Or what happens to the prototypes after they finish with the competition and they awarded, these wonderful prizes? What happens to the prototypes?
So there's a number of different ways that the prototypes can go. The young people sometimes will continue to develop it because it's still at a very early stage. But our winners last year, a group of girls, the Junior 6 from Midara Basic School, won, and they did an illuminated road safety device. They were able to go and demonstrate that to the president. The president then said to them, go and take it to the Road Safety Authority. So they went to meet with the directors and the senior leaders of the Road Safety Authority. They are now developing that product with the Road Safety Authority, who are going to deploy it in different parts of Ghana.
We
have another team that is dealing with cultivating seedlings so that they are strengthened, they don't die as easily. Their whole town, their farming community, is using their product because they have found that the yields of their produce has grown. They are not getting as much disease and things in their crops. So these things are real life applications. We don't want them to just sit on the shelf. Not all of them are going to progress in that way, but a number of them are already on the market. When they produced clothing from banana fibers, so recycling, and also clean charcoal briquettes. They actually package them and are selling them in their communities. So there's a number of ways that those young people are taking those prototypes forward, but we're also looking for investors, businesses to come to the exhibition, see them, and actually invest in them and say, look, we can help you to continue. But we also, as GSTEP, need investors so that we can keep spreading this further.
I was going to ask that over 100 schools from all over the country, and you say you're expecting over 2,000?
Oh, we're hoping for more.
More than 2,000. How do you cater for first the students and your guests who are coming? Who funds GSTEP?
So we were really blessed to be funded by a Swiss foundation, Foundation Botner. They funded us for 3 years, and that enabled us to do the research that we needed to do and the 2 challenges. This is the second challenge that we've done. And so now we're looking for ongoing co-funding to support the continued expansion of the program. And so that's where we are now. We are driving forward to continue to reach these young people. So yes, we provide a lot. We provide a lot of support, a lot of guidance, a lot of connection and materials for these young people to be able to do what they do. And so we need support and investment. We have some great sponsors, but we really need some more sponsors from all kinds of industry that either want to sponsor a region, sponsor particular products or tools, or actually just co-fund with us and actually become a co-funding partner with us.
So have you partnered with any organizations here in the country yet?
Fidelity Bank is a key sponsor. Specialized will be bringing some things to the event. And of course, you are our media partners, and this is a wonderful story to tell for those young people to have that exposure. When they see themselves on that light on the TV, that also sparks their imagination to say, we never thought that could happen to us, and look, this is what the exposure is doing for them.
We'll get back to all the details about the event come 24th and 25th, but let me take you all the way back. How did you start GSTEP? You sound very passionate about this. How did this come to birth?
I have a long history of working on youth projects and working with young people because I'm very passionate about the potential for young people to create the change that we want to see in society. But a lot of the time, it's just about the opportunity that they may have to do that. And so I delivered a program like this in the UK. I designed it from 2014. I was delivering with the likes of IBM and Barclays Bank and things like that. So we were working with secondary schools in the UK. So I did that and designed that program and was iterating that program for a few years. But then I was coming to Ghana more and I was like, why am I not doing this in Ghana? Right? So that's when I was really encouraged to say, okay, whatever come what may, We're going to find the partners that are in Ghana. We are going to make this happen in Ghana. And that's how it came about.
So let's conclude with the details of the event. Coming Wednesday and Thursday, 24th and 25th of this month, what's happening and where?
On the 24th and 25th, we are having the exhibition and award ceremony for G-Step. On the 24th, all of the 100 teams will be exhibiting. So please come. It's open to the public. There's no cost involved. Come and see and support those young people and see what they've done, because you will be really impressed by that. On the 25th, we also have the exhibition, but we will also have the award ceremony. And believe me, it's a prestigious world-class award ceremony. So it's worth coming along. We'll be giving out the awards. And it's not just a winner and runners-up type thing. We give awards for lots of different areas of scientific principle, impact, branding. We give awards to those participating, teachers, STEM coordinators, our youth steering group, who are our young advisory group. They are making a decision around a Perseverance Award. So even those teams that didn't become finalists, the ones that still tried to put their idea forward, they still also have an opportunity to win an award as well through Perseverance.
Okay.
So there's lots and lots happening, and then some great entertainment to go with it.
Any high-profile guests that we'll be looking forward to?
So we hope to have some dignitaries attending. So the ministry will have representation there. We hope to be having a representation from the President's office and some ambassadors as well, and some of our regional dignitaries too. So it's always hard to mention until they're there, but we are expecting a high-profile range of dignitaries to come along.
Well, I'll try and be there myself. Thank you so much. So over 100 schools drawn from all over the country will gather to exhibit their prototypes, products that they've created to solve real-life problems in the society by G-Step, Ghana Science and Tech Explorer Prize Challenge on 24th and 25th. I was talking with Madam Constance Ajiman. Thank you so much for coming. But like we always do on the show, you are part of the show. It's for you and about you. So we'll open the phone lines in a bit, and then you can join us, share your thoughts with us. And when we are back in a few minutes, this is the AM show. Keep watching.
Well, welcome back. At this time, of course, we'd love to hear from you. The numbers to call 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. I see why you're smiling in the background. We had plotted something and it didn't pan out.
But you know, we are back on the show. It's time now for you to join us. Let us know what your thoughts are. We started from talking about the Bawku issue, the ongoing violence in Bawku, and then we talked about
the Senior Staff Association, then electoral violence, how to forestall it, with Kwabna, Reverend Dr. Kwabna Frimpong. So a whole lot to talk about, but we'd love to hear from you, of course, on the bit about the Black Stars as well. Today we lock horns with Mozambique. What's your prediction? Do you have one?
My prediction is we are winning. You see, I don't like numbers so much. And the way every sports person I see is making some calculations and permutations, I do not even want to understand what it is. I'm just praying for a miracle because, Benjamin, we need a miracle. And last time's game, you see how much...
Egypt.
Yes, our game... No, not Egypt. Oh,
the last
Egypt.
one was
the last one with Egypt.
Yeah.
A lot of people were not as supportive of the Black Stars. But the few people I saw who, were pumping positive energy into the Black Stars, I choose to believe that that's the reason we drew. So today, if we amplify our support,
if we add more,
just might win.
Okay. I believe we have a caller on the line.
Okay.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning to you.
What's your name, please? Where are you calling from?
This is Bao calling you from Yendi.
Bao from Yendi?
Yes, please.
Okay, over to you, sweetie.
Bao, share your thoughts with us this morning.
Yeah, I strongly believe that today Black Star is going to win the match. We are going to beat Mozambique by 3-0.
That's right.
Three goals to nothing.
Hello?
3 goals to nothing.
Yes, please. We are going to win them by 3-0. And they will be through to the round of 16. And I believe that we are going to make an impact in this particular tournament. The beginning is usually difficult, but I know we are going to be fine with it. We are bringing back the glory. All we need is that all Ghanaians should be with us in prayers. And by God's grace, we are going to make an impact at the tournament. But with regards to the Bawku issue, I think it's about time government or politicians take away their hand from such conflict. And there should be that commitment from the government to ensuring that the decision that was taken at the Supreme Court is withheld. Because if we decide to play politics with everything, it will get to a time that we cannot control it. I am more concerned about the women and children that are suffering every now and then.
Right.
And then the workers who are from different places and living there. Life is not easy to be there. So we would like government to put in some commitment to ensure that...
Thank you so much. We appreciate you joining in with your thoughts there on the Black Stars, 3-0, and on the Bawku issue.
I hear there's this cat
that
has been predicting, getting predictions right. Usually there are octopi, an octopus or something that would, this team will draw, this team will win. Now there's this cat that we've seen, and it's suggesting that Ghana would beat Mozambique. But beating them doesn't
We need a
necessarily
miracle,
do
Benjamin.
anyway.
I'm a bit anxious, but, it's good anxiety. It's good one,
Do we have another caller?
We have Kwame from Adenta. Kwame, good morning, and share your thoughts with us this morning.
Yeah, morning. I want to make a contribution on Reverend Dr. Upuni Frimpong's interview. Benjamin did ask him a question on constitution and then the chieftaincy role. But I think he didn't get it right, or he didn't get it well, the implications. In the sense that this is a republic. We call it Republic of Ghana. That means that we are taking away power from the royals and giving to the people, and the people to the members of parliament and the president. So if he is now defending the royal or the monarch end, it means that he is undoing the constitution.
But I don't know whether you got his point. His point is not that, he says there are too many powers concentrated in the president. For example, the president is the same person appointing heads of SOEs, your IGP, your DCEs and all of that. Aren't you uncomfortable with that?
No, until the constitution changes, we have to be comfortable with what we have.
Yes, but that's what he was saying, that we should go by some of the remedial measures that were proffered in the 2010 Constitutional Review Commission, including that one.
Yeah, but it is not happened yet. It is not happened yet. So what we have now is what we should operationalize, meaning that if he is calling for the chief to ask the politicians to promise the chief, it's as though the politicians are now subject of the chief. And that's where my worry is, because the moment you start strengthening the chief as against the constitutional provision, we are undoing the constitution. That's reasonable. I think we should look at it carefully, the way he's going about it.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing those thoughts.
But Benjamin, I thought that the discomfort is what births the change. So if you're comfortable with what we have, how then do we change?
Yeah, it's like a pearl, right? Once the irritant is in there, that's when the pearl starts forming in the oyster. I guess we'll have to start winding up at this point, but I have a birthday request. Linda sends this one. So she says, Happy New Year and blessed birthday to Mommy Faustina Yemotele Odoi of Medina, Brodiasi. It's from your children and grandchildren. We love you dearly. Mama Faustina, Happy New Year, happy birthday to you. And it's from your children and grandchildren. Any requests?
What is your prediction, though? I need to
My prediction?
Yes.
My prediction, my hope is that Ghana will win. It's a bit tricky as well because Mozambique, drawing with Egypt, losing to Cape Verde, will want to go out, even if they will, with a bang. And that's the danger. The one who practically has nothing to lose is always the most dangerous person.
Anyway,
it's been fun. What can we say?
Wrap it up.
What can we say? No, you go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been 4 hours of news that matters, conversations that resonate, and fun on the lighter part of it. This is the AM show. I did this with Benjamin Akakpo. I'm Sweetie Abochi. Join us again tomorrow for more intriguing conversations. Bye.